heroes from across worlds stand and unite. No other foe or force can match their might. The once great people of this world now hide in fear. All Katie shaken by the power of sword and spear. The black-clad armies of the Dark One now draw near. But in the distance, the sergeant and the bear appear. Great heroes of past the law, no power has seen before. Wings spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Great heroes of past the law, no power has seen before. Wings spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Legions of Rome stand and let their arrows fly. The roaring of dragons and machines fills the sky. Secret agents and the generals they defy. Swarms of orcs and samurai raise their banners high. In the wake of death, only one man stands alone. The sergeant raises his sword, high silver shone. He condemns the chaos the warlock is has sown. He stands longing for the day he may return home. Great heroes of past the law, no power has seen before. Wings spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Until the war for the world's brains is won, they will fight until they're on line. But Akiri will stand alone as one, and the bloodshed is finally done. Great heroes of past the law, no power has seen before. We spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Great heroes are past the law, no power has seen before. We spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation, 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 to end the age of annihilation.
Welcome to ToV Live. It is Valhalla time. Happy Wednesday to everybody out there. Yes, took a day off on Sunday. Took a night off on Sunday. Didn't do a thing. Rested. Poor Jeremy didn't rest. Poor man. He's been working a lot. He's a little tired, but he still is making the effort to join us.
I owe you all a part two.
Yeah,
I'm here for part two.
Yeah,
I wasn't going to say part two and then not show up.
We need to complete this. We still got about like 5 more units to look at in this wave of boiling tension. And if anybody's like listening to this, because I will eventually put actually both this combination of part 1 and part 2 on the ToV podcast to find a way to get those audios together.
Mega episode.
It's gonna be like a 4-hour stint probably. And
Megazode. It's the Megazode.
As a gift to those on Spotify who are giving me like good numbers on the audio sphere. Yes, that this is definitely for you guys to spend time listening to. It's going to be a lot of material. But we welcome everybody who is listening live tonight. I am Ryan, aka Tales of Valhalla, and with me I have Jeremy, the Seam Cullet. also the guy who works a little bit on the lore of Heroscape through Renegade. So we did a deep dive into a lot of the characters and units last Wednesday, and we're going to finish up with that tonight. But before we get started, I think Jeremy had a couple things to say. Did you want me to pop up those photos at this time?
Yeah. So
okay, let me do that then.
It was a. This is gonna be a neat little, I guess you can call it addendum, because that's the fancy little term when you're adjusting things to a story, right? I learned this. Literary terms. We love literary terms, right? Well, an addendum. So this is an addendum to part 1, right? We discussed about the information that went into Major Q11. We talked about Raylan, and then we got to talk about the Molten Crustaceans, and then the Tanuki Trickster. Then we ran out of time, right?
Yes, we did.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to mention the one thing that I was super excited about that I was given permission to include in the Tanuki Trickster bio. So that is the, if you take a chance to look at this wonderful poster, which, by the way, this is posted in the Heroscapers Facebook page, I believe, as well as it's been shared. It was shared as, it was like a deal. Now, if I get this wrong, names and stuff like that, I know there's an individual who does trades, really good individual does business trades on the Facebook page, right? And then given this as part of that deal, was like, hey, we found this poster and sent it as part of those trades. Now, this poster hasn't been seen in a long time, right? This is a depiction of the animation style that was prevalent and used in the first 2 commercials. So the original one that aired for Cartoon Network, Toonami, like this is the like you could watch. This aired on TV. This was the style that aired on TV, and then they used this same style for the Will of Kimoshi stuff. Right now, this is where it gets funny. If you are able to check it out on YouTube, you can actually look this up. The commercial is still there. The individual who animated it posted it up years ago. You can actually check out the whole thing. And as I was watching through this video, this was part of the inspiration, right? One of the things I like to do when I'm writing for Heroscape now is watch Heroscape material from the past, the stuff that I grew up with. This was it, right? This was the stuff I grew up with. This was the idea I grew up with. So watching this and getting the ideas and everything, and I noticed something stood out. Something stood out hard. Okay, so this is where I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is just straight neurodivergent hyperfixation lock-in. But for some reason, okay, during the cartoon, 4 seconds, I guarantee it, 4 seconds, you can see a planet in the skyline. There's a planet in the skyline, right? And it looks like Saturn. And I was just like, why is there a Saturn? Yeah, there's rings, right? There's rings around this planet.
See that?
That's Valhalla, right? That's not Earth. That's not the solar system. That is supposed to be a depiction of what Valhalla looks like at nighttime. And I was like, oh my gosh, a Saturn planet. My brain, y'all.
It's got
I
rings.
don't know how to explain. I wired on that. I was like, oh my gosh, ring planets are so cool. And there used to be one in Valhalla's sky, but it just never got mentioned. It never got brought up. It was never talked about. It showed up in the I guarantee you. Go watch the cartoon. Go watch the commercial. It's in YouTube. You will see that planet. It shows up for 4 seconds. And I was just so excited about it. And I was like, I really would like a chance to name this planet.
So
there you go. I got some screenshots of it.
There's more of it there.
Within the 4 seconds.
Right.
Within the 4 seconds.
That zoom in. It's that zoom in shot into the well springs. I remember that.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yep. Tails got it. Tails got it. It's so fast, man.
It is.
You gotta go back and forth. I had to go back and forth to grab that clip because it goes by so fast. But I was like, I know there's a Saturn planet. I swear there's a Saturn planet. And then we saw this poster. This poster was actually shown like maybe a week before Foil Intention launched.
Okay.
And so I saw that poster and I saw that planet in the background of the poster and I was like, validation 10,000. I have officially gotten permission from Renegade to name this planet.
Oh.
And that name is in the Tanuki bio.
Okay, we got to relook at that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm like, with
Well,
4 seconds of footage.
we'll start where we ended then. Did you want to like hop into that then? Get on
Yeah.
Renegade and
Well, yeah,
Renegade and
absolutely,
hop and get it?
absolutely.
All right, let's do
So
that then.
I did want to take the time to explain the story and show the images, so that way you have context, right?
For
This
sure.
isn't just no crazy thing I invented, right? Obviously, because that's the thing, world building, talking about stories and stuff like that. You do have to consider a lot of different tales, themes, and all that. But this was the case. It was like, hey, so team, there is a Saturn planet that is in the skyline of Valhalla.
You got to name it.
Why can't let's just name this thing. Right? That was my
Yeah.
thought, and I was just like, okay. And
Heck yeah.
if you when you get a chance to grab that bio, I will show you the name of the planet
All right.
that
Let's
is in Valhalla
let,
skyline.
let's get out. Yeah, that's important. Okay, so what paragraph are we going to here on this?
It's the very first one.
Okay, here. Let me just zoom in a little bit more so we can actually see that better. Okay. Okay. Pastime. You said the first paragraph. Black Blue Waters of Bayandil, right?
So that's a city.
That's a Hawkland city. Yep. Waiting. Okay. It's faction dwarfed by the ring planet and Andvari. Was it Andvari?
Yep. Andvari.
Andvari. Sounded right. All right. That I like that. I like that. That sounds very fairy-like almost.
Well,
the name.
Here's the cool part. That's a Norse. It's a Norse name.
Okay.
That is in reference to a legend, and obviously I am paraphrasing, so do not quote me on this. I encourage you to do. Obviously, Heroscape is always an invitation to study the themes into these concepts. Right? There's a lot of real world references that are really worth a read, checking into, and things like that.
Mhm.
In fact, the moment I was given this opportunity to write for the franchise, I was like, I need a library card because I need to start reading. And I started getting into some more books and some literary themes and things because I want to make sure my stuff makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Endavari refers to a character that was depicted in legends where, as far as I can reference off the top of my head, it's like Odin and Loki talked to this character named Envari. Loki was specifically speaking to Envari, was like, we need all this gold, and then Envari's like, yeah, take all this gold, but is holding on to one thing, and it's a ring. It's a ring. He's like, this is the one thing he's not gonna let go. He's like, I'm not giving you this ring. You have all the gold, but not this ring. Loki's like, I want the ring. He's like, no, you don't get the ring. He's like, I want the ring. And I'm Loki. I want you give me that ring. Takes the ring, and he's like, well, if you take my ring, I'm gonna curse it, and then all the bad stuff that'll ever happen to you will happen to you. And there's this whole legendarium associated with this ring, and Anvari and the story associated with that has a tie into Valhalla. There's a tie into that, right? So, with all of that, again, please read it because I am paraphrasing. This is a terrible. I'm just spouting off the top of my head, mini sleep deprivation there. So I want you to go read those stories. They're really, really cool stories. The Old Norse legends are always awesome.
Sure.
But that story is one of it. And so I wanted to reference that because not only is Andavari being a ring planet, this like ring that's being guarded. That's the idea of it, the metaphor. It's also the fact that that story itself inspired Lord of the Rings because it is associated with the cursed ring. The story,
sure.
the legend of Andvari, like the original legend of Andvari, is one of the source that inspired. So I was like, why don't we talk about it? Why don't we put it in? So
why not?
There it is. Yep.
I'm more interested in that because I've already got through the first book of the Fellowship of the Ring on. Actually, no. I'm reading Two Towers. So right now, currently.
This is Tolkien has a huge body of references, of course, but this will if anyone's ever wondered why a one ring, that comes from the story of Andvari, and then the ring is known as Andvari Nacht, which is in the story itself. But there's like a whole it's like one of those the story like Baldur's death, all those kind of stuff. It's like a really old legend, and it references. So I took that name from that legend in reference to the ring planet because I'm like, well, ring planet, cursed ring, kind of works out.
There you go.
But yeah, I was like, let's go. We named the planet that shows up for 4 seconds. And now everyone can think of Valhalla's sky with a Saturn planet that shows up. That's cool. Trust me. Check out some photos of that. That is cool.
Maybe
Saturn looks awesome in the sky.
maybe someday they do battles on that planet as well, since it's so nearby. You could have like portals to go there, and can continue the war
I,
like on there, something like that.
for theories,
that'd be crazy.
theory only,
Yeah.
theory only. Obviously, this is not saying anything at all. Destiny 2 has a PvP map on the rings of Saturn, and it is one of the coolest things you play on. Like, I mean, just the way the dynamic of it is like, because you're jumping, you have to jump from each ice block to do the PvP fight. It's cool. It looks awesome. Just saying, it looks really cool.
It would be really fun to do more exploration on that, because
cosmic ice is awesome. That's all I'm saying. Just the idea of it. And that's all Destiny. That's the Destiny in me, man. That's Bungie. That's Bungie core for me there. Yeah, I wanted to go ahead and mention that, because that was one of the really cool things I enjoyed being able to.
So in addition, for the Tanuki tricksters, it's an interesting. One word can make a difference, or one name can make a difference in the lore. I just want to address the chat real quick. Justin is saying, "Where's my Heroscape Saturday morning cartoon?"
Yeah.
Well, Justin, you have the stuff to look back on YouTube for what they did way back when. You also have my stuff. That's about as close as you're going to get, which can take a good like three so hours to watch. So there is that. And then Bill Flint is saying, "Been waiting for you all to get back after I read this month's free scenario." Yeah, and I will be reading through that scenario and going through it this coming Sunday. Like we're still going through the Boiling Tension Wave tonight, but we might, since it's out, we might, Jeremy might mention it if it's got anything to do with what we're reading currently. We'll address it if we need to. I only have glanced at it because I really like giving a fresh take on everything, read everything, and then just evaluate it as so. So probably gonna myself personally read through that on Sunday with y'all. At that time. So
it's a very, very fun one.
It looks like it. It looks like it.
It's as soon as I get I'm working towards getting the option to be able to host it at my local store, because it's one I've been wanting. Well, I knew about.
Sunland actually writes in his journal this time, so it's not everybody else sending them stuff. He's actually sending the letters. So yeah, it's interesting. I know that much. All right. So how about we then get to, before the night goes away and we're all exhausted again, let's jump to Air Marshal Zed Nesbitt. Zed Nesbitt. As I said, my great disappointment, but it really is a nice model. And
it's a big model.
It's huge. I think it's the biggest. It's like a huge 15. Do we have anything else that's a huge 15? Besides the dragons?
Off the top of my head, I cannot think of anything bigger than that. Maybe the castle.
Yeah, okay,
the castle taller. But that is, I think in terms of, and it's so funny to think, like, I've been seeing it in the Discord, and people have been posting pictures of that giant, like, 2-foot spider they wanted to make for Heroscape, and I'm just like an actual, like, real life 2-foot spider, and I'm just like, man, they were like, my brain explodes. How does that even, like, how would that look on the map? Because I love Xenothrax, I really do. She's rough to move around, and I'm already like, oh.
At least this one doesn't have a huge tail or anything. It's just basically.
I want to see how it works on the map, because it's such an interesting. Like, obviously, there's a dynamic here that I see in the miniature, right? It's like it's breaking new ground of, like, what can we do on the map?
Yeah,
and it's like, here's all this opportunity, because when you pick up, right? Because obviously it's like you got that space where you're able to move through. It's all on top, so I'm thinking the blimp will be easier.
Yeah,
but, like,
I think so.
The dragon, the tails are at the bottom, so it's like harder to move the tails through stuff. This blimp might be easier to move, but we'll see. I
And
mean, it's so interesting to think about. Like this is
And I think it
honestly don't
actually
matter.
seems like a pretty simple enough. I'll probably, if I want to get this, because it's actually the first one we'll get. I think this one comes out in June. The rest come out in August. I think.
Yeah. So this does
Yep.
launch in June, and bear in mind, again, watch the bundle. Like if you're wanting to buy this one, make sure you buy this one separately, so that
Right.
way, you know, you don't miss out on getting it.
I might just
Additionally,
get this unpainted because it seems like it's a fairly simple paint. You know,
oh yeah,
I mean, what
you
is simple? But
you could paint your channel logo blimp.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. I could
Yeah.
just put a ToV on the sky, just
Yeah.
scroll it.
Well,
Yeah, that
ab-
actually that sounds
'cause
like
you
a
gotta think
thought.
like classic Zeppelin style
Yeah,
advertising. You know, very
that
hegemony style advertising.
that is a good thought actually. So yeah, I'll probably get it unpainted.
The
Save me some bucks.
heck
Uh,
yeah,
but let me read through this lore real quick, and it's actually
heck yeah.
just like 3 paragraphs. So
Cool. This one, he's Western. Ignore me.
yeah, no, Vorid are always fun. So okay, let's see here. What you fail to see, my good fellow, is that I intend
There
to
it is.
bring a full night
There you go.
of the air corps directly to the enemy. Watch and learn. Last transmission of Air Marshal Zed Nesbitt. The immediate promotion of wealthy industrialist Zed Nesbitt. So it's not like he's someone who flies a balloon. He's got, it's like he's got like capital backing him up to the rank of Air Marshal.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
To the
Yep.
rank.
This is important.
Okay.
Yep.
To the rank of Air Marshal caused quite a stir in the Noxdorman press. However, all insinuations that he bought his position through a sizable donation of Nesbitt Industries, flying machines, dried up when he began to achieve undeniable results. His tactics were unconventional at best, and at worst quite costly, but his record spoke for itself. Thanks to his work, the Great Western Warrens expanded farther into enemy territory than ever before. On Valhalla, despite being separated from his fortune, Nesbitt has piled his ingenuity alongside the vast resources and technical acumen of the Valkyrie general Valoric to create a mechanized war force unlike any Valhalla has yet seen. This dude sounds like Iron Man, like Vorid's answer to Iron Man almost, only he's not in a suit, he's in a blimp.
Yep. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the industrialist. Yeah, so very, very key point here. Zed Nesbitt is not a military individual. Yeah, he bought his rank. He's because the thing is, it's like you gotta remember that everything that is these characters are different, like perspectives into the society that they come from, right? So this is a chance to kind of give you an idea what's going on Noxdorma, like the kind of stuff that's happening that's bringing them here to Valhalla. And so here you're learning about the Great Western Warrens, which is the opposing force to. So do you remember the previous faction, right? The Synodot hegemony that came out during the with the Void Glide Strikers, as like the name is on the tip of my tongue. So you got Tuck Harrigan, right? That's that faction, and now you got Zed Nesbitt. It's a different faction. You have these different groups of different clans of Vorid, right? Various groups of Vorid who are all fighting for resources. They're all fighting for territory, and so you're getting to see this like battle play out, essentially. And yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I'm excited to with that this expansion, these characters, and what they're doing for the story. Because now again, what is the second portion? Well, first portion is the two-part portion of Boiling Tension. It's the arrival of Valeric to the mainland, like how it happens and all that stuff. So you gotta all this stuff's really important for that.
it just
cool.
makes me feel like, you know, we need like indexes within indexes if we ever get a lore book, you know, because we need to know like kind of like what the Hobbit you know, race and relations like timeline that they have in Lord of the Rings. We need like a Vorid, you know, race, and like, okay, which one goes here, and what's the family lineage of all these you know, furry woodland creatures. um
It's been really fun to like
yeah.
really get into the storytelling for these characters, because again, it's like, and I actually I got to mention it in before, so like, you know, I've never really dove into these kind of themes, but it's like reading about them and kind of getting that idea of how things are going on. Like, you know, I'm getting more and more of the vibe. Plus, one of the local players that I play the game with, uh, they're really excited for the Vorids,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm like, oh man. So now I'm kind of like committed to telling their story because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh shoot, well I have a friend who likes them. But
Hey,
it's they're turning
intriguing.
out to be really interesting faction, especially with all their different, you know, because now you got to ask yourself, here's a question I leave the audience and leave you,
Mm-hmm.
Tails, so you can ponder this. Uh, how do you have two different opposing governments, right? You have the Great Western Warrens, and then you have the Sign of Hegemony. How do you have these two opposing governments now working together for Valeric?
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, right?
A lot of negotiations
So
probably.
it,
And is that
makes you
Warrens or
wonder.
is it Warrens, or am I have I been pronouncing Warrens?
It is Warrens. I may be saying it just because I have weird, but I
I
don't.
could be saying it wrong
Uh,
too. I don't know.
the word specifically I'm at, it refers to the nest. The word that
Right,
the
right.
name. So
It's
however
referred to
you
like
pronounce that.
for rabbits
Yeah,
and such.
yeah.
Because I've read that in like
That
Watership
word.
Down.
I think
You know,
it's is it is it Warren or is it Warren? Because I think
yeah. I usually say Warren,
I'll say Warren. Yeah.
but you know,
I may just
I
be
think
saying it wrong,
either works. I could be
but yeah,
saying it
it
wrong my
is.
whole life. I don't know,
You're
but
good. You're good. I was just like, but
either
words
works.
are hard.
Yeah, words are hard. That's what
Hey,
we can
by the
take from
way,
this.
even as a writer, words are hard. So just it doesn't change.
Although I'll say, and I don't have it. It's stored away, but like NGC did a version of this miniature, and I've said this before, but Roguescaper sent me like a miniature model of what they use for NGC, and this thing is
Yeah,
like
that
it's a work of art. It's so incredibly detailed and beautiful.
I
Oh my
was
gosh.
impressed they found like
Yeah.
because that was one of the sad aspects, at least prior to now, was like the crowdfund not succeeding was loss of like those concepts, and so we
Yeah.
had the vision and we saw what they were going to be, and then they never came out. But they managed to find one that looked pretty identical, and I was just
Yeah.
like, wow, I didn't realize that people really like rodents in the sky.
I
Like that seems to be a common miniatures
yeah.
theme.
And thanks to
And yeah,
Roguescaper, I might
so
be
that
the
was
only one
really
that
cool.
has, you know, something
It's
like
really
that
it's
incredibly
cool that yeah,
detailed paint into
it
it.
just it blows my mind that that was a concept that was available, and I'm glad that that was able to just be on the table and an option, while we were able to await the arrival of this Marshall.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let me read through the card here real quick. Again, disappointed that it doesn't, you know, have affect the overlay, but you know, I'm getting over that. Let's see here. Okay, Volarak obviously is the general. Air Marshal Zed Nesbit, Vord, unique hero, champion, bold, huge 15, life of 6, move of 5, range of 6, attack of 3, defense of 3, 140 points. It of course has flying. It's got a thing called Skyhook. After Air Marshal Zed Nesbit finishes moving, if he used the flying special power during his movement, which why wouldn't he, you may choose any number of friendly small or medium Vorids that Nesbit passed over this turn. Place those figures adjacent to Nesbit. Figures moved with Skyhook never take leaving engagement attacks. So you can just basically move certain miniatures around the board, especially if you have them like get higher elevation somewhere. You can bring other guys along, especially if they're engaged with the army. They're just like, okay, let's grapple onto this blimp and let's just go. So that's cool. And so it's just a great way to get your your uniques out of a situation, especially like glide strikers or such.
Right.
Although it doesn't necessarily have to be glide strikers. And let's see,
There's
we
a
got
lot of interesting tech to see.
yeah.
Because I mean, because the thing is, it says you may choose any number of friendly, small or medium, right?
Oh,
What I
so yeah.
chose for me is it's like
Oh, there's
you
no
can do the
number.
Tanuki, you can do the. You see, there's going to be some interesting tech involved because it's like should the option allow you, you could literally move your entire army
This is true.
across the map. Like, hey, oops, this was a bad placement. Zed, go take it. Like whoop, and then, and the thing, if you theme it right,
Mm-hmm.
you're able to pick up all your. You got a little Vord bus.
It
Like
encourages
gonna
a strong Vord army, basically.
yeah. So it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be the tech's gonna be interesting. I want to see it. I want to see it in play. I know my friend's probably gonna play it against me, so that's gonna be really. I'm gonna have to find anti-Vord armies because I know that's just gonna be what I'm gonna have to face for the next couple months, which I'm not mad about. But I'm like, man,
I
it's
just
gonna
set
be
them
all.
up against a
The
fourth
board's gonna
mass and
just
see
be.
how they do against a fourth mass. And go from there. Have them face the meta.
I pull out meta from 20 years ago. I'm like, all right, you keep playing.
Let's see how you do against
That's
this.
funny. That's really funny.
Yeah.
But no, I am glad he's excited about that. So
yeah. And then let's see, a crash landing special attack, range 1, attack 5. Nesbit can only use crash landing special attack if he used the flying special power this turn. All figures adjacent to Nesbit are affected. So that's interesting. So you got an area of effect basically around him. So it's not just targeting one. That's cool. Okay, I missed that. This is the third time I've read it, and I missed that. Roll attack dice once for all effective figures after using crash landing special attack. You must place one wound marker on this army card, and Nesbit cannot move normally for the rest of the round. So does that mean you just can't move, period? What does it mean not move more normally?
Cannot move.
I
believe
understand.
you're grounded.
So you just can't move.
I guess you can't move. Well, and that's if you have multiple order markers, because I imagine you use one order marker to activate crash landing. So if you have two, then if you activate the second one, you won't be able to move from that spot.
Right. So
but
you just basically use it.
That.
So it might be one to consider using on your last turn and around if you have multiple order markers on them.
It's like obviously don't use Skyhook. Bring your board army with you and then crash land on them. That's bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I see.
Yeah, all figures.
I see what.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
You make sure you pay attention to that. But I think what a good use of this would be like you move. You see like a cluster or something.
You can a bunch of fourth mass.
Right. We keep poor fourth mass. They're just going to be the punching bags of the show, I guess.
Why not?
But we're gonna have them there, right? So you send Zed Nesbit, you crash land, right? Hits all of them, if you get a good roll. But then now that he's grounded, if you have additional order markers on him, that becomes a sniper point because he still has a range of 6.
Sure.
So it's like, all right, clear spot out, and then just start popping them with the gun. You can do that, but there's options. But it's interesting to see because I think that's gonna be that kind of like. Just read it in the bio. Everyone's just like, "Why are you crashing your blimp?" Like, because it works.
And Joe Crazy had an issue with this,
right?
And I'm just like, and the more he complained about, it, the more I'm just like, wait a second.
No, and that the thing is,
it's got reinforced steel. He can do it.
Zed Nesbit is he's a little. He's a little.
He's got ego.
Unconventional. There you go.
I mean, most of these Vord have ego anyway, but I think he's got the ego of Tony Stark.
It's the thing. Like he knows what he's doing. No one else knows what he's doing. That's the point. It's like no one's going to get what Zed Nesbit is doing because only Zed Nesbit knows what he's doing. Zed Nesbit, he knows. Everyone else, what? Yeah, that's intentional. You're supposed to be like, why does that work? It's like because it's Zed Nesbit. Why does Wing Commander Tuck Harrigan be able to do what he did? Because it's Wing Commander Tuck Harrigan. That's just how they work.
I'm Captain Jack Sparrow. You know exactly that
There you go.
attitude.
That's a good example.
Yeah,
It's just that it's the dynamo. I don't know. There's words for it, but it's
sure,
like the panache. I think is another good
it's
one.
good. Yeah,
But
overconfidence.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, no, and this is one thing I like about the Vord. I think one thing that Renegade's doing well with the Vord is bringing out their personality, which makes me much more interested in them, knowing that they're animals with attitude. You know, so that's one thing that intrigues me a lot about them.
And that's that thing where the theme, because obviously these have, what do you call it, like a overarching theme, like a uniting style. And that's when I had to learn the concept of diesel punk, because I've never heard of that before. That's something I had to look into. It was like, what's diesel punk? And that's
Mm.
and obviously it's not a forced interpretation, it's a guiding principle. But that is generally one of the ideas behind this faction, is diesel punk. And it's like, you read into that and you're like, man, that's there's a lot of style to it. And so I think you can kind of see how that's all coming out onto the page, and I like that a lot, because they're just, don't, like, everyone's like, oh, they're cute, and I promise you, if you ever called a Vord cute,
Yeah,
they'll punch you in the face.
yeah,
I promise you.
or
It
shoot
just
you in the face.
you like it.
They got guns.
It's just, that's just how they are. That's just their like, you could absolutely call them cute for woodland animals. They won't appreciate it,
Mm-mm.
but because again, I like the word panache. They have a character style that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, careful of the little guys. They got something to prove. So I say that our little guys are short guys, but yeah, that's
classic Edward Elric energy.
But that is taking a look at Air Marshal Zed Nesbitt, his lore and his card. I think he's definitely interesting. Definitely seems to synergize well with other Vords. So I guess we'll see how he does on the battlefield. All right. Let's see what's the next one. Oh, Okay, yeah. Okay, we gotta get to them. And Imperator. How do you say that?
Imperator. Yeah.
Imperator. Okay.
It is Latin. Let me double check just to make sure.
Imperator Kain.
Yeah. So it's a title of Imperator. Originally meant the rough equivalent of commander under the Roman Republic.
Hmm.
So it's commander, essentially.
Inventive Harvest says that's a big title. Figure. Do you mean Zed Nesbitt or Imperator Kane? Both are huge. Both are huge.
Both are huge. One's a huge 10. So reference, Imperator Kane would be about the height of Grimnat.
Yeah, Imperator Kane's about the height of, almost the height of Iron Lich. And see, where's my?
Or is it Iron Lich too?
Yeah, he's just a little bit shorter than Iron Lich here, so like probably getting up to there if I hear.
Wait, Iron Lich is 9? Oh,
hold on a second.
Iron
Lich is huge 11.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So,
I didn't realize.
Imperator Kane's probably like going up to there, so almost as tall. And it probably would tick Imperator Kane off that he's not as tall as Iron Lich, when he starts meeting Iron Lich on the battlefield.
That is wild.
One more than the other, both big. Yeah, both are pretty big.
That's amazing. Because I haven't actually got to see Iron Lich on the board yet, so it's like, whoa, hold up.
Yeah, he's impressive. He's pretty impressive.
Fun. That's fun. These are big figures.
This is the fun part. It's like you got your huge miniatures, but they're not dragons. Most of the time you have huge minis in the past.
Dragons. Well, and then like the one, because poor Grimnack was the only, like, I really wish in the original line they would have brought like a Triceratops or something, or something big to match the Grimnack vibe, because it was always dragons. Soon. Then there was that one giant that just appeared. It was just. We were seeing.
I'll say that we just need more Gruts. Always do with more.
We were seeing options, but it was like, nah, dragons were the big. Dragons were always the big characters. So this is cool to see. Big spider robot. Big other robot with roadie on top. It's like
ATST with a Gatling gun, you know.
ATST. Yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna break that wall. All right, let's read through the lore here. There's a little bit more to this.
I like that. I'm pretty sure it says all terrain. Yeah, it even says all terrain.
Oh yeah, heck yeah.
The reference is there.
I'll tell you what.
So.
All right, in parentheses, people cling to the past, Mr. Harrigan. And how do you say that? Silene?
Silene, yeah.
Yeah, Silene is the future. You can help me get it and join me in that future. Or, if you stand in my way and become part of the past. But either way, I'm not slowing down. Imperator Kane, morning of the siege of Fort Buckthorn. Buckthorn for me is almost a reference to like Watership Down, because there is a character in Watership Down whose name is Buckthorn.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep. Well, what did
you? Good reference.
Yeah. Well, what did you expect, General? That the future would be bought without a little collateral damage? Imperator Kane, Victory Night at Fort Buckthorn. My goodness, I could easily slip a swear word if I'm not careful how I read stuff. I almost did. I have to rewind to make sure I didn't say anything. Okay. Even in dress uniform at the Victory Galas held by the Great Western Warrens, Imperator Kane's presence demands fear and respect. Few Vords alive have single-handedly done as much for the war effort. If it weren't for his investment in mining silene deposits, extracting it from deep underground in its volatile early stages, the Warrens might have collapsed against the Synodont, or Synodont?
The
Synodont hegemony long ago. He who controls the silene controls, there's too many words here, the war. Okay, whoever controls the silene, it almost looks like sailing. Silene controls the war. And where today there are only smoldering burrows, Imperator Kane sees the refineries and rigs that will power the technological revolutions of tomorrow. But the grandest of his achievements are the many enemy encampments he has personally trampled underfoot to clear the path for progress. His all-terrain fighting vehicle, yep, there you go, AT, yep. You can call it an ATFV, or FV, yeah. ATFV, there you go. Shakes the earth as it channels the raw power of the silene into every stamping footstep, belching the noxious fumes of victory. His chain gun fills the brisk morning air with fire and scrap, and he howls war tunes from above. He's probably listening to Green Day or some other band, like, yeah. Inspiring the soldiers carrying on in his wake. He may have received the title of Imperator for his financial contributions to the cause. Yeah. Lots of how do we put it? Oh my goodness, words are failing me tonight. Yeah, okay, I'm just moving on. But his medals of bravery are all his own. When troops learn that Imperator Kane is going to be deployed to lead the charge, they know that victory is near at hand. Typically, his only order is that they give him a wide berth. And let me see here. Inventive Harvest is saying here, I'm worried about Nesbit falling over during battle and ruining the board. Yeah, hopefully they have that balanced. I mean, I know the peanut bases are kind of like already kind of not straight, so here's hoping. And see here.
Everything is coming out in this next wave is going to be with the new stuff, the new plastic stuff. They've been talking about that.
Okay, good. Yeah, they need to fix that. They really need to fix that. The grim, cute world of Vordhammer 40. Yes, exactly. And Justin saying, I didn't realize how tall Imperator Kane was. I was thinking he'd be about Deathwalker 9000 size. A little bit taller, actually. Buckthorn is a Chinese maple tree that is very invasive in my area and a pain to remove. Oh, interesting. Well, there you go. Fort Buckthorn. So what can you tell us, Jeremy, about this? I mean, what stands out to me? Again, another entrepreneur. That seems to raise in the rank because he has. What is their? Actually, this isn't a question. What is their currency?
So as you can see, it's not a money based thing so much as it's what they're able to extract, which we've been able to get a little bit more into here. And then you've seen that word probably crop up a couple times. I know we've mentioned it. We got to mention it on Sunday, and then we haven't got to mention yet because we haven't read the bio that brings it up. But it's mentioned in this one. That's the word silene.
Silene.
So I want you to lock in on that reference because that's going to be a. Remember what I said about diesel punk. You know, what's one thing about diesel punk that you have to have? You got to have some diesel involved, and so. Silene is that fuel resource that the Void are all competing to acquire. So essentially, whatever investments, business to do, whatever allows you to, I guess, enhance the opportunity to get that option, makes you better asset to these military operations. So. This is the primary effort. Everything that they're fighting for, all the stuff they're doing, it's for the silene. They want this fuel resource more than anything. Yep, it's really cool. When we get to the next bio that brings it up, I'll explain some more.
Yeah,
it like ties in.
I have other questions, but I'll wait till the next one as well for that because and it might be questions that you can't answer yet. But then just tell me, Ryan, shut up. And okay,
that's
okay.
No, I won't say that.
I'm telling myself that. I'll be like, shut up. Okay. Anyway, it's a cool mini. It doesn't look like it's going to be that tall, but it's going to. And this will be another one that would be fun to get unpainted. Because it seems like a really simple paint job, and then again, you can put whatever decal there. You could put a ToV decal. You could put something else. You could put like little skulls along the side to have like how many skulls he's crushed, along the side too. That would be cool to have on that. And then if you're looking for like if this is like run on silene, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So you might want to make the eyes blue actually, if that's the. If that's what the color of silene is, maybe there's something in the back that we can't see that might run off that. But and actually, now I understand probably when it comes to silene why a Hellforge here I'm holding here, and this Hellforge I currently am holding in my hand is yet to be painted. But now I understand why that is blue, because that's the silene energy happening inside the Hellforge, correct?
So
I get that.
So now I want to say some of the defining elements to help with that theme. If you look at Scavarith, right? Scavarith has a reference to it. The Iron Lich has a reference to it as well. Yeah, any of those like blue tubings that you see that like kind of like funnel into the Ice Neck's body, that's what it's referencing. So think about how the Void are so obsessed with this resource, and the Ice Neck have to use it to live.
Interesting.
Think about that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm gonna ask a question, but it's gonna be later, and it might not be able to answer. But let's read the card first on Imperator Kane here. Okay, Volarak, Imperator Kane, Void, unique hero, champion, fearsome, huge 10. All these guys are champions too, and I mean, I'm curious because I know this is something you probably can't answer, but why are they all champions? Because I know that's going to probably end up being a bonding synergy sometime in the future with other units, because it doesn't really work well with like the meta, because it's usually like human champions that you can bond in with classic Heroscape, so it doesn't really apply for these guys too much.
I do believe I think this isn't really against that. As far as I understand, these are still retaining those. These are like the original. Oh my gosh, the keywords. I call them keywords. Yeah,
Mm.
these were the original ones that were on the Avalon Hill card.
Okay.
So like they were originally champions, so they
Sure.
stayed champion, things like that. So essentially, in that case, if you're noticing that gap, right,
Hmm.
as it's always been with Heroscape, right? What's the thing to expect with Heroscape? Those gaps eventually get filled, right?
Right.
I just want to remind everyone, you got to think about this. Wave 5, Thor's Vengeance, right? Wave 5, we received Spartacus,
Yeah.
all those characters. They ranked. I don't think Spartacus got an F outright. I think it was like a D minus. But
Hmm.
like I remember Spartacus having the worst rank ever in the game,
Hmm.
ever, right? Wave 9, the Capo and Gladiators came out as a common
Right.
squad, shot Spartacus way up into the rankings. Why?
Yeah.
Because he suddenly became viable.
Yep.
So, all I'm telling you now, obviously, I have NDAs, but you have to know Heroscape is a living game. It's a rotating, revolving game. Things that come out, right? If you notice, you're like, oh, that's not going to work in the meta. Well, think about how the meta used to build itself back in the day. We
Mhm.
need time, we need time for. So it's like eventually you'll start seeing more combinations, more options actually roll out. Then you'll be like, oh, okay, now we know why those powers, what they do.
Mhm.
You'll start seeing it, start
For
playing
sure.
more, make more sense. So just and again, this is how the game's always done it too.
Right.
Because
Right.
like what Grimnack came out, we didn't get Orc Warriors for 3 months, and like they didn't come out for Orc Warriors 3 months. So you got to play Grimnack, but you had no Orc Warriors for 3 months. Things like that. It's just
Mm.
they were always dropping hints or stuff that they were launching. So
And
just
how's
always
that?
look forward.
And how's that
Eye
for a
forward ahead
segue?
and good stuff.
They mentioned Grimnack because Stomp 8 is it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
Chomp.
yeah.
It's not Chomp. Okay, and I will say that because people like say, oh, it's a reference to another thing. It's not Grimnack. Okay, but as since Jerry mentioned it, and this is
Oracle Nom is
it's yeah
it's in similar powers. Yeah,
yeah it's
the
still
auto wounds.
it's an auto wound type,
Hmm.
but we'll get into that in a second. Huge 10, 5 life, move of 5, range of 5, attack of 3, defense of 4. This thing can stomp and it's also got range. It's nice. 130 points isn't too bad of points. Stomp 8 is a special ability, the only special ability. Once during Imperator Hurricane's turn, at any point during his normal movement that he is on a space where he could end his movement, you may choose an adjacent small or medium figure whose level is no more than 5 levels above Kane's level and roll the 20-sided die. If you roll 8 or higher, and this is so important, I love how these, like, rolling a 20-sided die roll is encouraged more with this. Yes, you might lose, but at least you have a greater than a 50% chance of getting something,
Yeah.
which I like. That figure receives 1 wound. So it's not exactly 100% auto wound, but it's what? It's a 70% auto wound, like, chance? I think it's 70%.
About that, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Math wise, yeah.
So it's not bad. But and wait a minute, is that let's see, at any point during the normal movement that he is on a space where he could end his movement. Okay, so you can only choose one figure, or is it any figure along your walk path? Like
once it says once during the turn at any point.
Okay,
You choose one.
just
So
one miniature.
But I think it's like because So, but it lets you choose which one.
Sure.
Which is, I think that's the dynamic that lets you, like, you can walk past like 3 or 4 and be like, no, but I want the one in the back. The one in the back is the one I stomped on.
Yeah, which one did I stomp on? Oh, that one.
Which one did I that guy? Yeah. So.
Bill Flint saying, I heard we need to be patient and not have a microwave mentality. I've never heard that phrase used, a microwave mentality. That's an interesting way of putting it.
I like that idea. I yes, like in a way, I don't want to ever make it sound like a mean thing. It's just a nice reminder.
Right.
Our brand, Heroscape, the brand that we love, the franchise we are very, very passionate about. has always had that moment where it'll be like, hey, here's this thing that came out. And then we're like, okay, well, we definitely see something that's going to help make this better. And then we had to wait. Like that's just how the game has always been, right?
Mm-hmm.
And production cycles, all that stuff, right? These waves that come out, that's how they. So it's like it's never meant to be like, oh, this will, good luck trying to play this empty, very, like it's not intentionally meant to cause this problem in army building. It's just there's more plans. Just look forward for the plans.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be cool. But yeah, yeah. Justin has a really good point. I'll go ahead and read that if you
Go
don't
ahead.
mind. Even in Renegade Scape, the phenomenon I described has occurred. Mysterix arrived without any figures illegible for her life-drained spirit,
Mm-hmm.
except in Wave 2, you got now you have that one Revenant Warrior that can get life-drained spirit. And the thing is, like, well, the game has always had that. It's always been, Grimnak comes out 3 months later, we
Mm-hmm.
get his warriors. Nirak drop. Months later, we get the snow that his powers activate. That's just how they do it,
Yeah.
right? And it's never meant. I don't think it's ever meant to be like, oh, limitations. It's just
It's
we
like
get
puzzle
out what we
pieces
can
that
get
you
out,
gotta end up
Yeah,
connecting
you
eventually.
got production cycles.
Yeah.
You got to fit it in there. There's this. Here's a fun thing. I'll tell you this. Like in terms of working with the company now, it's like you learn a lot of weird, funny company stuff that you're just like, man, I didn't know it. I didn't know that was part of. You're like, oh, I didn't know that. So me, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, now I know why it takes this much time to do this. I'm like, now I feel more informed, and I'm like less like mad about stuff taking time because then it's like, okay, now I get why. But I promise you, it's never like there's never an intention to impose a limitation. If that is the intention to express there. It's just how it has to be. Game dev cycles like that. But and yeah, no, and Bill makes a really good point about the time gives you a chance to learn how to use the card, kind of
Mm-hmm.
understand its powers, develop some. People make some really cool strategies. Let me tell you
Right.
something. Kind of I am quick tangent. I promise,
Sure.
less than 5 minutes.
I'll take a drink.
But when I was demoing at Nuga, there's a individual who played the Dryans against me. I've played the Pirates pretty much what most of the games. I'm very biased. I'm not gonna lie. I love the Pirates, but I was playing the Pirates mostly, and this individual played the Dryans against me. He said, I used to play Heroscape back in the day. Made it seem super casual. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. So, and then I kind of explained the rules. Oh, he killed one pirate per turn. I was just like,
you
I
got
was dead within 2 rounds.
messed
And I
with
was
the
like,
player.
did you just shark me, bro? Did you just shark me?
Yeah.
Because that was not no, I just played casually. But the way he used
Nonchalant.
the Dryans, yeah, the way he used the Dryans was super unique. He was using to create water to like put pools of water in between me and the pirates, but he didn't start doing that until he made sure that Fia ran out of bullets. So I didn't have the range to like, because like if I would step on the water space, I stop my movement. I'm stuck, and then he's just 2 spaces away every time, making sure he's keeping away using create water. And I was just, man, that's so big brain, man. I've never seen someone play Dryans like that, and it made that army super effective. Now that's the kind of stuff that you get to discover, with this like these break periods. It's like, all right, how can I do this? How can I do this? How can I do that? I would have never figured that out if I didn't have time to play Awashia in that match. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
moving, you get the new stuff and then you forget about Awashia, and then you get more new stuff and then you forget about the other. I really think it's cool to take time and learn because I would have never learned the water thing without, I've played Awashia a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
now I have, but it's like taking the time's been great. So good point.
Yeah, no,
So,
do me a favor, keep on talking. I'm like I have a spammer
I
on
got you.
Twitch, and I'm just putting in the approximate time of when they appeared
You want me to go
because
ahead and ban it?
this happens live, people. Yeah, live.
Yeah.
Here, hold on. Let me just enter that in real quick. Oops. Here, 1 second. I
You
gotta
should
do.
be your tag. The tag should be still.
Yeah, I'm
They're
just
not doing
trying to put in the here. Okay, there. I submitted that report, and there we we go. Sorry, folks. All right.
You good.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah,
Got it. Got it.
that
Got
is building off of Bill Flint's commentary about that the gap of time between the waves is a really good time to experiment with these powers, because I again would have never figured out how to use create water as a way to keep people away from Alashia. Like, didn't occur to me until I saw it in game, and then I was like, I'm gonna do that forever now. So yeah, it's really good opportunity to learn these characters. So I like that, like a good thought.
Nice. And as far as like Imperator Arcane itself, I think it's looks like a really fun this is a like easy figure to paint. So definitely probably get this one unpainted and just have fun adding different elements to the bot, you know, make it your own. So yeah, I like that. And this is one thing a Renegade should do, is like less complicated, you know, miniatures that require just maybe 1 or 2 colors of paint, so that way you can customize it to, you know, your own personal tastes and viewpoints. Is great. So yeah, I really like that. And plus it's a really simple, straightforward unit to use. So yeah, definitely like it. And it's got and of course, like all the Vord, got some personality. Imperator Arcane. There you go. All right, now let us go to this big guy, Scavareth, Lord of Ruin. Yeah, I just love seeing how it's just like all these shells.
I'm it's a lot of bullets.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna get over the fact that the first time we were introduced to this character, they did that whole 3D
like 3D projection.
Yeah, you remember that?
Oh
projection,
yeah.
The real life projection, towering over the actor for Zero, Hector Zeroni.
That was one thing that hurt the most when that campaign failed. I'm just like, we'll never get to see it. And then
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We got the Scavareth was a big hype piece for the crowdfund. Everybody was super excited.
Look at that thing.
There was just so much hype behind this
giant centipede gun wielding item of death.
And now, now Scavareth is available. Pre-orders. It's just,
and you can just purchase it. It's no promo. You just buy it.
Because here's the crazy part. Like, and I'm not, and obviously I don't like comparing. I'm not that type. You know, I don't like that vibe. But you know, you got to take into consideration the only people that would have had a chance to get Scavareth if the crowdfund had succeeded would have been the ones that crowdfunded.
Sure.
All right. So that let's just shoot a number, right? Maybe 200, 300 people. I don't know. No, that's not the right number. I can't even remember the number. But the thing is, the number would have been limited, right? There would have been a small amount of individuals who would have had this miniature if the crowdfund had succeeded. But because that didn't succeed, now everybody gets a chance to get Scabbard. You see, there's like it may be a little bit of a stretch, but I find that to be a better option. Now everybody gets to get Scabbard, and it's just, you know, I like that a lot.
Yeah,
and I feel it feels better that way, because it's like that would have sucked to be like, oh, here's my Scabbard Lord of Ruin. They're like, where do you get that? Oh, did you back the crowdfund? No.
Did you spend
$400? Yeah, it's just like you don't get to, you know.
Come on, how dare you?
And it's just I get it. No, like it wasn't even Avalon Hill's fault, right? That was a requirement,
right?
As part of the crowdfund expectation. Like, the rules of a crowdfund was to have an exclusive. They designed that as part of the rule. But I don't know, I just feel really good that we can now offer this to everybody instead of just a handful of people who had money at the time.
Oh yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, it's just this guy deserves to be in everybody's hand. You know, this is a character that deserves to be played.
If it fit in your hands, you might need both hands. You know,
if you're right, yeah. Like, I don't want to limit this character from anybody. So it's nice. It's nice to be able to expect to see this character multiple places, not just, you know, the exclusivity of it. I'm not gonna lie. This was one of the very first Oh, that's not the word. I'm not. When I went to Gen Con, when I got to go to Gen Con, and I spoke to Chris and Carmine about the crowdfund, this miniature was the thing on my mind. I was like, "Where is he?" Like, I was like, "Tell me where Scavareth
I want to
is."
see him.
And all he told me was like, "I sent all the STLs to Renegade," and I was like, "All of them?" And that's all I needed. So yeah, no, it's just again very nice to see this character out and option available to all players and not just the ones that would have had a chance to back the crowdfund. As awesome as that would have been, again, I think it's cooler that everyone gets this guy versus a handful. So, just, yeah, personal thoughts.
Yeah. So looking at chat. Okay, Inventive Heart says, I thought this guy was one of them new bugs.
Oh yeah,
pretty sick that he's Isoneck.
Scordire.
Yeah, Scordire.
Scordire. He's Isoneck.
Yeah, Isoneck.
Different planet. Yeah.
And hey, Derek. Derek's hobbies, interest in life moments, saying, "Hey guys, good evening to you both." Good evening to you, Derek. It says when he arrives in August, Scavareth will be the coolest sculpt out of the game. Definitely contender.
Scavareth is going to be really easy to draw. So one of my favorite things when I demo Heroscape and set tables up is like, what's the most eye-catching piece I can put on the table to get someone to walk up and want to play Heroscape? But I'm getting Scavareth for that reason, just to put him there and be like, "Hey, come play Heroscape."
I mean, he's a huge 9, so he's about going to be as tall as Imperator Kane, basically. So. You think it would be more towering?
They can look at each other. They're gonna look at each other in the eyes and be like, "How are we as tall as each other?"
Bill Flint. I was gonna actually mention that in a moment, but first, I want to, because I noticed that too. But first, I want to read the lore. Let's read the lore first, and then we'll get into that. All right, here we go. In the days after the shattering, embers were all that remained, and yet in embers there is still precious heat. Veins of crystallized saline, that word, clung to fragments.
We did read this in a good order, so yeah, I like that.
Of the planet's mantle. And so the blessed extraction continued. Scavareth was ordained Lord of the Remnants. For out of the Iron Lich's legions, who else had so faithfully enforced Viscerat's decrees? Survivors who ventured into the debris field in search of silene crystals had scarcely minutes to act before Scavareth arrived. Sharp metal legs surging across the drifting stone. His dual scatterguns spat brimstone, the sensors that had replaced his eyes registering each impact of bursting blood and metal with glee. He staked what remained of the trespassers on metal spines until the asteroids bristled with grim markers of Scavareth's territory. The silene flowed again, and with it countless Wraith Riders were sustained while they searched the remnants for untapped deposits. With it, the sacred Hellforges were fed, and the terror and the behemoth of the bloodthirst leapt into the stars in search of new worlds to harvest. With it, the Iron Lich kept his laboratory alive as he searched for the missing equation. The one that would fuel exponential Isoneck expansion for all eternity. But embers at last go out. When the last known silene seam ran dry, the unfaithful demanded their dues from the stockpile. Scavareth decorated its door with their metal skulls, dedicated all that remained to Viscerat's laboratory, and sealed himself inside. Viscerat would find the answer, the continuation, the new life. Their master had not guided their transcendent rise, only to falter now. Scavareth waited until the screams outside gave way to silence, and the silence to hunger, and the hunger to darkness. When Scavareth awoke, it was to Iron Lich Viscerat, alive and well, to a world bursting with life and precious resources, to an army of Isoneck warriors, stolen from death's clutches and renewed. The fire of Icenic industry blazes again to life on Valhalla, and the Valkyrie Revna and the Iron Lich alike have only one commandment for Scavarith: begin your work anew. Now, yeah, that's a lot. That's like it's in a sense it's a very sad story,
Right.
because I feel like I'm reading like the end of the life cycle of a planet, of what was once an industry. So it is my thoughts that the Vorid, whatever planet, what planet were the Vorid on?
This is Noxdorma.
Noxdorma. I feel like Noxdorma, like when the Vorid, are starting to get the silene from the planet, and causing their planet to industrialize. This is like the beginning, middle part of Noxdorma, and then the Icenics are what causes Noxdorma to be destroyed. In a sense, I feel like it's been hinted at, but that's why I feel like where this is going. But wherever the Icenics came from, it seems like they're interplanetary, not scavengers, ravengers. I think the closest thing I can think of is like the aliens from Independence Day, movie back in the 90s. And I'm not talking about the newer one that happened like some 10 years ago. I'm talking about like the 90s blockbuster.
I gotcha.
Similar type of hunger for resources, and then you move on.
Right.
And it seems like these Icenics got hunger for silene and just basically ripped the planet apart from it. But at the same time, it was hunger that could not be kept, and they eventually killed themselves because that resource like dried up on them, and essentially killed them. But as we know, with Revna doesn't care whether you're alive or dead. Actually, most likely prefers you dead, so she can get you on her side. Tricky Valkyrie. Let's see here. And so this is one thing before we get into that part of the lore, though. Flesh abs. Yeah, I was noticing. So, what is Scavarith actually? I don't think Scavarith started out as
Scavarith is an Icenic. That is.
Yeah, like what are Icenic? Because there's flesh parts to them. I noticed that like in any Moldicea, with the exception of maybe the Hellforge, there's flesh parts on them. Actually, no, with the Hellforge, there's flesh parts too. It's on the very top, I think. It's just like little skinny arms,
right,
on the tarp. So these are once like flesh and some type of blood type creatures that totally mechanize themselves. Near totally. From what I can see.
You are on you. So here's the thing, right? As mentioned, right? These bios are snapshots, right? They're giving you
right,
because a really good thing to think about as well is like, with the Valkyrie, when they drink the waters of the wellspring, they get images of these wars, of these conflicts that are happening, right? They have no context whatsoever what's going on. They just know that these people need like they're in war, they're in conflict, and they have the option now to intervene and pull these people out of the war and then bring them to Valhalla, right? So this same story is happening here with these bios, right? You, the audience, are now getting snapshots into the history of Noxdorma. Now, when it happens, that's part of the mystery, right? That's what you're learning now. You're giving you opportunities to learn over time these different situations, like where the Vord come from, how their society was happening at the time they were summoned, where the Icenic are coming from. Now you're seeing these connecting elements, right? We've already talked about silene, right? Mentioned in both bios. It's on with purpose. That's intention. But if it's not mentioned in the bio,
Yeah.
You
All I
know,
can all I can
those
do
things.
is
It's like
guess.
more stuff,
I gi-
more yeah. And the
give an
thing is,
educated guess.
the BIOS have always been a source of inspiration, right?
Mm,
Because if you think about it, even the classic ones would be like, a couple sentences long, but it would drop these really cool names, and then you would always be wondering, all right, what's there? What is in this place? And then before long, if you were a kid like me, you were filling those places up with all sorts of, right? You
mm,
were filling those places up with all sorts of, and it's the same experience, right? You're getting snapshots into different parts of this planet's history, right? And if
mm,
you're starting to develop questions like, oh, why do they have flesh? Why do they seem like there's something like that? Write it down. Keep that in mind, right? Because that's the kind of stuff. Those are the questions we want people to like think about, ponder, hold on to that,
mm,
find those answers as this story continues time. Because, like again, that's just how Wellsprings work. Sadly, you're only going to be able to get
mm,
snapshots, so that's Wellspring water for you. But yeah, you will all those little things that you're noticing. It's awesome. Like that's
mm.
good, right? We want people to be able to catch on to those things, and then over time, those things get like expounded
Sure.
upon, explanation from there, right? But
Well, I
yes,
hope we don't get held
there's
in the dark like we had for some Heroscape lore for like almost 20 years, So.
well, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. The Heroscape lore 20 years ago, right? That was like they didn't have a lore council. First of all, I'll tell you that much,
Sure.
right? They had Craig, who bless his heart, we love Craig, but Craig did all that by himself, and he was like, not my cup of tea. He literally says it. He says it all the time. He's like, I'm not a writer,
Mm.
but I have to do this, and he would do it, and he's like, ugh. He didn't like his own writing. He was like, ugh. So we had that, and then he immediately hires Colby because he's like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Colby, please help. And then Colby starts writing. You can literally see the shift as soon as
Hmm.
Colby joins the team, right? But it was also just one other person, right? So it was like one person, one person. Here at Renegade, there's 6 of us
Yeah,
working on it.
that's nice.
I promise you, that stuff's gonna get answered. All that stuff's like all your little questions. We want you to get those questions, write them down, keep them in your heads, get pondering, right? Because that's the fun. That's the fun part of lore. That's the fun part of the story being told, right. But there's a lore council, so no, we won't have 20-year-old gaps. I promise. Like that's not a
Well, I hope not. Fingers,
right,
fingers
right,
crossed.
right. It's like, all right, look. Let's see, right? In
It
20
all
years from
ends
now, I'll
tomorrow. It
be
was just a
what?
dream.
I'll be about 60. I'll be about 60 or so, right? If I'm still around at 60, I'll see what I can do about the next lore dump. But no, I won't do that to y'all. But no, no worries. Trust me. We encourage the questions. We encourage the what's the word? The search
Hmm.
for answers. Keep that going because that is always what I think is the really cool part of why lore exists. But if you don't see an answer to your question, please look forward to it. So that is it's a living story. Things will be told over time. So,
Like Miss Frizzle used to say, you keep on asking questions, you'll keep on getting answers, but it just depends on when those answers are going to show up. All right.
let's go. Magic School was reference.
Yeah, heck yeah. I grew up on that stuff. Okay. Revna.
Hey, me too.
Reading the card. Revna, Scavareth, Lord of Ruin. Isanek, Unikiro, Marauder, Menacing, Huge 9. Life of 7.
And you mentioned Ravager, so Marauder's really on point with that one.
Yep. Life of 7, move of 5, range of 1, attack of 5, defense of 4, 185 points. The 2 special abilities of this hulking big centipede: double burst special attack, range 4, attack 3. When Scavareth, Lord of Ruin, attacks with a double burst special attack, he may attack 1 additional time, targeting the same or different figures with each attack. So there you go. So it's the one special attack that's got range, which isn't. It's not terrible. Battle Surge,
but
yeah.
I've been a little wary about these double attack range hits because Anshu Oh my goodness. I was like, Anshu Sonic Blast special attack you only roll 2 dice twice, right?
Hmm.
And I'm like, that's nothing. The amount of times Anshu's rolled 2 skulls.
Yep.
I'm like, hold on. So yeah,
There's a
no, like
Valkyrie.
this is 2 attacks of 3,
Mm-hmm.
right? At range 4. I with my experience with Anshu, that kind of gives me a little scare. I'm like, wait. So I'm not. I don't know. I don't know if it's like super good, but it's like that does have a bit of an effect because Anshu's killed some people
Yep.
with Sonic Blast, and I'm just like, maybe low dice rolls aren't as bad as I think they are.
And
You know,
question about
but
double burst as well. Can you do like is this special attack take the place of a normal attack, or can you do both? Doesn't specifically
yeah.
say.
So, uh, I think this is core rule based, so it's like
Right.
because you're doing special attack, it replaces your one
Gotcha.
option.
Okay. And I figured that was
Like
the case.
whenever you see the word special attack, you're activating that instead of your attack.
Gotcha. All right. Battle Surge. After taking a turn with Scavareth, you may reveal an X order marker on its army card and take
Our
one
first X
additional
order marker
turn.
power
There you go.
in contemporary.
You cannot use double burst special attack during this additional turn. So you could use double burst special attack, and then if you got an X order marker on this guy, because why not? There's no other use for it. You can reveal that order marker.
What's that?
You cannot. Well, no, I'm saying if you use it the first time.
Okay.
If you use it the first time
during the X turn.
this additional turn. So you could do a double burst and then move forward again, and then just melee whatever enemy is left over.
With an attack of 5.
Yep, with attack of 5. So you have potential in potentially 2 turns, but 1 turn. You just turn 2 turns into 1. The potential to range and then melee your second time around to totally finish an enemy off, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
You do have to be careful because it is a life-based resource. So
right.
Like I would use your battle surges.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
if Scavareth
life
does
7,
not attack,
life 6, life 5. Don't use it if you have life 2.
Well,
like.
But this is an important thing. If Scavareth does not attack a figure during the additional turn, Scavareth suffers 1 wound. So it's not a guaranteed 1 wound.
Okay.
You have to attack somebody, which if you're not using Battle Surge, why wouldn't you attack somebody? Then I recommend not using it just to move 5 more spaces. That makes no sense. And I think that's one of the reasons why.
Don't use it as a move buff.
Right. And I think they have that on there to make sure it's not used as a wound buff or move buff. So that's really good thinking on their part to use it. So
it's definitely meant for hitting.
Yeah.
An extra hit. Yeah.
Which is great. It's just basically an all around huge. Not wait then fire. It's fire then charge and hit some more.
Fire
and just use them guns just to slam down on someone's head basically. And Bill Flint said sounds nasty with Iron Lich's Viscerot's Ironclad Puppeteer power. Yeah,
I do believe they are meant to pair together.
Yeah. So the Isonek army, unique squad army is going to be fun to use. It's going to be like a fun matchup. Isonex against Vord, actually.
That
fun
matchup. That's what I should do. I should do that.
Oh,
Since my friend wants to play the Vorid, I should get the Isonex.
Yep.
And it'll be that the Isonex will be my answer to his Vord army. That'd be funny.
Isonex are a huge surprise for me. They seem actually like a very gelled like army that you got to put together, and it's great because sometimes not all the points are going to add up. You're going to have to pick and choose who you want, who would be best matched with Islanders, because you got Scavareth, you also have Hellforge, so you got to decide, okay, for this particular battle, what am I going to use, and what makes more sense. I can't wait. I hope sometime down the line we get some Isonek common squads. I'm not saying anything, asking you any question. I'm just saying I'm hoping that that eventually we get Isonek common squads. That'd be great to add into the synergies of these guys as well. But yeah, I just love Scavareth. I mean, like I said, the Crab's my favorite, but this is the one everybody's been waiting for. This is the one everybody's been waiting for. So, and it's not disappointing.
And again, yeah, this was when I went to ask and Carmine about the minis. I was like, okay, can you explain to me what just happened? Because yeah, like I remember the original announcement when Renegade announced in June that the license had been acquired. I was like, okay, you know, hey, can you tell us what's going on? And then Carmine, here's the thing, like shout out to Carmine again. I was really I respect Chris. I respect Chris.
Mm-hmm.
All the work he did, all the effort he put into this game, because I remember when that first announcement came out, and I DM'd him. I asked him, "Hey, did you do this?" Like not in an accusatory way, but I was just like, "You said." I remember he said in the Avalon Hill Discord he was ready for a second chance,
Mm-hmm.
try again for Heroscape, and I was like when they made that announcement, I messaged him. I was like, was that thing you said?" And he's like, "I told you." And I was like, "Bro," So that was his last hurrah.
Yeah.
You gotta remember this big thing. Like I know a lot of people. There's a lot of like that. That the vibe is not all there, but this Renegade push was Chris's last hurrah for the project, and
Mm-hmm.
now we get to see these minis. We've been waiting 3 years for these. They're now on the stores. People are playing them. Like I'm stoked. I'm so excited, and definitely this guy, because this guy was one of the main reasons I was like, "Where is he? Please tell me he's not gone forever." And he's not. You now get
Well,
a chance
he's
to
not.
play Gabriel. So
Can't wait.
it's just it's so cool. I'm so excited.
Good fun addition for a Nicenik army, and I can't wait to see what other
Robot centipede.
army builds he can be used for too in the
Right.
future. Hopefully there'll be a variety. But yeah, so that is taking a look at Scavareth, Lord of Ruin. A little bit more insight into the I call it
The blessed extraction continues.
yeah, the Silene storyline, basically.
Yeah.
Yep. So can't wait to get them and paint them and play them for sure. Okay, now we are moving on to a second to last. Yeah.
Hey, look at that. We're making good time.
Yeah, making good time. Fairly.
I
mean,
still-
we might close
it's
within
still-
an hour,
Right. Hopefully. It's
Just
like
2
all
more
of a sudden, I
units.
just 1 hour for this bio. Oops.
But yeah, so we're looking at Revenant Acolytes, and the thing that stands out to me with these guys is just the skulls on top of skulls, which is like for undead is like really, really cool for these types of things.
It's a fun vibe.
It
Fun vibe for sure.
actually reminds me, now that I think about it, it gives me, and you see you have the Revna insignia like right there, like on their chest. It reminds me a little bit
Very
of
prominent.
ring wraiths from Lord of the Rings, kind of. It's similar. It's not the same, but it does remind me a little bit of that.
The aesthetic.
Yeah, the aesthetic
Good vibe.
of the miniatures for sure. And it's interesting that it's like these acolytes, they're not the same race. I mean, they're obviously undead, but it's like seems like one, like the wings remind me of a Kiri on this one, although I don't know if this is a Kiri or not. But the others obviously are a little bit different. Like one has got multiple arms, so that they're definitely like from different races, yet all undead, just coming together as acolytes.
And the easiest reference for that, of course, if you look at the back of the card, they do keep the planets' names, and then this one is retaining a certain reference because this also retains the same conventions for the pirates, right? Because the pirates are multi-species.
So it says
now,
various.
Revenant acolytes are also species, but the prevalent aspect of that is that they're also undead, and there's a reason for that. So
sure. With Revna, that is something.
with Revna, that's the reason. But
Justin, how many of these are you picking up? The question is not how many. The question is, do they have enough? Okay.
I will have to pick up a good bit.
Let's read the lore. Okay. On the day, the ambassadors for Revna returned to the flock from the Peace Summit and informed the host of the Chaos. Okay, so we're going back to like one of the first bit of lore drops we read when it comes to Age of Annihilation, the Peace Summit that failed, and informed the host of the chaos that had taken place. It is said the acolytes mourned, shaking the ancient halls of Merkheim,
Merkheim, yeah.
with their wailing, for no one understood their savior. Well, I guess we need to understand Revna a little bit. I guess, what does she want? We need to understand these things. Dedicated to proving their loyalty through ceremonial duties, they tried to help others understand Revna's salvation. However, most of the others seemed devoted only to the march of war, expressing their loyalty solely through combat. This disappointed the acolytes. Celebrant Revna deserved more. When the joyous news arrived that the celebrant's teachings would soon break through their lightless sanctums to reach the surface, where her hope would spread across all of Valhalla. Because we need hope, people. We need... I don't get it, but let's continue. The caverns echoed with celebration. New souls to redeem, yet the acolytes were not there. As others reveled, these consecrated followers prepared to instruct those from other worlds about their new chance at salvation. But the faithful from other generals had yet to arrive. How could they not see the truth before their eyes? The dead crawl from their graves to greet the one who'll be the master of Valhalla's fate. Thus prophesied. Maladin. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
To the elders of each tribe, this should have been enough to show them why they should kneel. Revna fulfilled this feat no one else had claimed, and yet she had cleansed Merkheim of its violent, unworthy occupant. And what occupant was that? I wonder how the one who must not be named, and was now exalted, securing a path of peace for her people. Her enemies could only summon the dead from other worlds or bind wandering spirits. Who then is the true shepherd? The acolytes knew that their very existence was because Revna was prophesied. And those she called from beyond serve her with strength. They saw this power and answered with their faith, empowering Revna's commanders through their all-consuming desire to please the celebrant. And through their rituals, the acolytes return from an ill demise. And now, since no one will listen, the acolytes have decided to make their faith unmistakable to the non-believers. Their time to join the war march has come. I'm sorry, I got very Baptist at the end of that.
Look, it is
Southern Baptist.
They are absolutely in a cult. Like that is.
Yeah.
That is.
Not saying Baptists are in a cult. I'm not getting that, but just I got that fervor.
Like they have the fervor. Yeah, there's a faith to this, right?
Yeah. There's
a faith to this. So yeah, that's the match, right? Very good match. The faith, the strength of faith that the acolytes have. They believe Revna to be the answer so strongly, right? And the reason why is because they can come back from the dead. Revna
Utterly
is
convinced.
The primary reason why they're undead.
Yep.
Yeah, and so they're convinced that she is everything, like she's the answer to the problems that have befallen Valhalla. This battle of all time that won't stop. This eternal war. Well, guess what? How do you stop?
Death.
Pledge your service to Revna. She'll fix it.
Yep.
Right? Literally, you can't die when you get to work with her. Why? You literally don't die when you work with her.
Salvation.
That's the kind of stuff. That's the ideas that are being expressed, right? Is that you have this faction of ceremonialists, right? They tend to all the ceremonial duties. They got to do all the stuff, the different rituals, the magics that help keep the style of necromancy that Revna is skilled in. Like it requires that kind of stuff. They maintain all of that. But in the process, they're doing that because they're like, well, yeah, this is important. We got to keep this stuff going because we need people to join to join Revna's camp. And so this entire bio is written in that perspective. This is basically one of the members, one of the like
Mm-hmm.
one of the acolytes, one of the cult members are just going, "Why don't you all join? This is such
Mm-hmm.
a good plan. This makes a lot of sense. This is why." And so I there's a couple of things I'll go over real quick,
Mm-hmm.
some lore stuff. Mirkheim, of course, right? That
Mm-hmm.
is an Old Norse, as a coined Old Norse phrase. It doesn't exist in the legends, but it's based on the Old Norse language.
Okay.
So to explain what it means, it's the two root words mirk, which is reference to it's it means dark, but in the sense of absence of light. So it's like there darkness, right? Without light. And then Heim is a very common
Mm-hmm.
find in the legends all the time in reference to regions or territories
Mm-hmm.
of ancient North
Kind of sounds
story.
like home, in a sense.
Muspelheim. Well, it means home.
Yeah.
It means home.
Okay, there
Okay.
you go.
So together, the idea, the phrase coin is means dark home, right? And the reason why we have had the word Mirkheim, or the reason why we've coined this phrase, is so now you can talk about the Underdark. We can talk about the Underdark now. This is the entire reason behind it. The thing is, the Underdark, specifically that word, is a region of Toril, which is a planet in the Dungeons and Dragons universe, right? You can't talk about it if it's a Dungeons and Dragons, but there's an entire region in Valhalla named Underdark, right? That's they
Mm-hmm.
called it that, right? They called it that in the third master set. They called it the Underdark, and it was just like, well, we can't call it that because that's a D&D word. So how do we talk about this giant underground region in Valhalla without mentioning the word that they use?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's use an Old Norse word,
There you go.
and that's what we came up with. So the Lore Council decided on calling it Mirkheim because it means dark home in Old Norse, and it allows us to be able to expand into that region that was it was talked about for 1 year, and that's all we got. Because we got what we got Shadow Cavern, we got River of
Mm-hmm.
Blood, we got um, the original stuff in the Battle of the Underdark set.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different areas that are all underground.
We're gonna
on
bring
Valhalla.
that back, people. We're gonna bring it back with new Valhalla stuff. Yeah.
Tail, you can't don't be announcing things that haven't been announced.
Oh yeah, I know.
Announce
I'm hoping.
the
Again, I'm hoping.
the name.
I don't know nothing.
No, this is why we did it originally for the bio and for the concept. It's because it's Revna's area. Like
Mhm.
Revna has now officially taken over that general area. So it's Mirkheim. It's bit and it's gonna sound you're like, but isn't that a retcon? It's like, okay, here's the deal. Retcons exist to help build bridges and allow
And
us
so you
to
don't get
refer to
sued.
things. And thank you, Tails knows very much, right? This is to help us tell the story,
Mm-hmm.
and so we get to talk about this region without saying Underdark. So right now, just to let you know, that region is called Mirkheim. So, and then it's like, yeah, it's just it was funny because it was like, well, we have this entire place that we can use, but we can't because it's called a D&D word. I'm like, oh man. So, but yeah, we now can talk about the Underdark without saying Underdark. It's very nice.
There you go.
It feels very what's the word? There's a liberation to that because
Mm-hmm.
I like the underground region. It's a really cool
Mhm.
concept that came into the game, and now you get to talk about it. Yes.
And that's it's fun to be able to dive into that bit of lore that a lot of the community are just like it's like hit or miss with people. Now we
Yeah,
can
and it's not
potential
everyone's
is
cup of
spanning
tea.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely understand. I remember when I was younger, I used to annoy people. I had people tell me, "Bro, stop asking questions on the." They used to tell me on the forums I was asking too many lore questions.
Yeah.
Like they're like, you need to learn to accept MacGuffins, man." And I'm like, "Well, I don't like MacGuffins. That was my
I want MacGuffins to have a
experience, so
point.
right. Yeah, if you have to use a MacGuffin, at least make it make sense. But
Mhm.
no, so it's like I grew up in that kind of material where it was just like the lore of Heroscape wasn't a thing that was really hyped up. But then again, and Carmine did his little thing. Now it's like there's so many new lore people that I didn't even know were into this, and now it's like, oh well, shoot. Well, now we got to definitely get a good storyteller. But my one of my things I really wanted to do is about to the brand in its full capacity without any limitations. One of the things we have to do is acknowledge talk about and what we can't talk about. And if it's D&D related, we can't talk about it. That's
Hmm.
just that's just how it is. But we are
Exactly.
working on ways to still refer to those core ideas that were presented to the game without referencing the D&D content. So, yeah. Like
Hmm.
and Justin has a really good point. Even Tolkien had to retcon some stuff. Like
Right.
it's just you as long as you understand if you notice the retcon, these are we talk about them in the council. We've discussed it. We're like, some of this has to be done, right?
Yep.
Just to recover what I mean, 20 years of content, right? We
Yep.
gotta we have a little bit of work ahead of us.
Got to make the
Trying
story
to
fit.
build these, we got to build these bridges. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah. This is one of them. Mirkheim is a bridge to allow us to refer to the underground region. It's just nice. It's out there now. Now it's just,
Yep.
boom, there it is, back on the map. So
And
really cool opportunity.
and then with this, I mean, aside I mean, the reason for these acolytes fervor too is centers mostly on Maladin's prophecy. What
Yeah.
excerpt
Yep.
of prophecy is it referring to? Do we
So
know?
yeah, so this one's fun, right? So
Mhm.
Maladon's prophecy, right? This is how this works. Maladon's prophecy, of course, everyone should recognize that as the name of Collection 1 or Wave 1,
Right.
right? That's where it originally comes from. However, later on I want to say it's 2004. I'm going to say 2005 for a good shot, right? Around that time frame. They were dropping online scenarios on the website, right? And so all the scenarios that were in the master set got updates added to each of those maps. So the original, like, what is it, Table of the Giants, Miggle's Tomb, like those, the original 5, right,
Mhm.
that you got updates on the website. And this was back in the day, again, 2004, 2005. And there was one that was, don't quote me on it, but it was for Forsaken Waters, right? It was for the Forsaken Waters scenario, the Forsaken Waters map,
Mhm.
and it was called. Let me see. Yeah, it was a master game called Maladon's Prophecy.
Hmm.
And I remembered this scenario talked about, like, and again, it's the same spelling, the same name. So this is the same Maladon that Wave 1, right? But this time he's in the scenario. And in the scenario, it talks about different things that the prophecy refers to. And the prophecy refers to a gale force, a wind that will blow down. It refers to, this battle will take place at the Forsaken Waters specifically. And it refers to the dead will rise, right? And so in the scenario, it says, like, the rules of the scenario play out. They're saying that, well, the wind is happening right now, and this is the place where the battle's supposed to take place. But the dead haven't risen yet. So maybe the prophecy hasn't fulfilled. And it just cuts off.
Mhm.
That's it. That's
Okay.
the scenario. It just says it drops that weird little line where it's like, well, the dead haven't risen yet. And
Hmm.
that's where it ends. And I was like, well, now the dead have risen. I'm like, well, the dead have risen. And so I asked, again, I brought it up to the council. I was like, hey, let's tie into Maladon's prophecy. Let's make Revna and a person or a portion, an aspect of this prophecy.
Mhm.
Because the dead being risen on Valhalla hadn't been fulfilled yet in the game up to this point.
Mhm.
So because of that, that's the point of faith of the acolyte, is that she is a figure one that raises the dead and therefore become the one who be the leader.
Mhm.
That's what they think. They see this very clear prophetic realization in the form of Revna herself, because she can raise the dead. She's the only one to be able to do so in the game. So it's like everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, it must be her." So that's why they're doing it.
That's why there's
But
such a fervor.
yeah, that's why there's such a fervor. They have this ancient prophecy that's been a part of the game since day one, right? Because Maladon's prophecy is the Wave 1's they're believing that Maladon prophesied Revna as so. And I will give a shout out though, William Niebling, our editor, the original person to mention actually spelling out the prophecy. I thought
Mm.
that was cool. That was because we were going to initially just talk about Maladon and be like, Maladon said this and Maladon said this, and then William Niebling was like, why don't you just say, like, write out what Maladon says? And I'm, dude. And then now we got actual, which by the way, you can get the entire process yourself in one of the scenarios if you actually did your language home.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, the letters you did. If you spell that out into the alphabet, that's the full Maladon's process.
Okay, and I've read it. I don't remember it specifically, but I've read it before in the stream. So
it's important. It's
okay.
important. We are going to be. You're going to see that play out, because you got to think about how does prophecy work, right? It's like it's a snapshot of the future that gets told, and then everyone knows about it, and they start freaking out because they're like, oh wait, is it about me? Oh wait, is it about me? And then they're always trying to either compete against it or try to. And so now you have to start asking yourself, what's everyone? Do they want Maladon to be like? What part of the prophecy are they looking at, and which ones do they want to with, or Bill, or whatever? Which ones apply to the current scenario? You got to think in the sense of what prophecy do to people. It's like, oh, this is going to happen, so obviously if I do this, it'll stop it, or well, we can't stop it. So like,
and it's got encrypted enough to, like, it's tough to make a connection with it. So,
and this is primarily, you got to think about it like this. This is why the Wellspring caused so many issues, because you shouldn't know the future in the first place. So it's like, oh, if you get all these little snapshots of the future, look how it's affecting, causing these moments where they're like, oh, it's them. Oh, it's them. Oh, we got to do everything they say now because it's them. It's things like that. It's like causing all these like distorted worldviews. It's like, yeah, prophecy. You shouldn't know the future. The Wellsprings are allowing these people to. Now it's creating groups like this. Look, you got the Revenant Acolytes who'll do anything, and yeah,
a bunch of them. And since they're a common squad, you can get a bunch of different colored robes and stuff, and yeah it's just all kinds of fun.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff, because the most you can tell just by the way that shared theme. Obviously, that they're all trying to emulate her in some way.
Right. They're willing to sacrifice, because they can sacrifice themselves so many times, because they'll just well, let's just read the card, okay, and then we can get to that. And I see that there's been some comments in the chat. I'll get those, but I'll get to those, but let me read through the card first, and let's wrap up on this one. Okay, so Revenant Acolytes from Revna. It's in their name, Revenant Acolytes. Undead, common squad.
Don't say anyone else. Look at me.
Yeah. You need to say Revenant's name 3 times too. Acolyte, Faithful, Medium 5, Life a 1, Move a 5, Range 1, Attack 2, Defense 2, 40 points. Hero Worship, while a hero and special abilities. Hero Worship, while a hero you control who follows Revna attacks with a normal attack or defends. If that hero is adjacent to one or more Revenant Acolytes you control, you may re-roll 1 die. So it doesn't matter how many Acolytes, could be 1 or more, but it's just you can re-roll a die for attack. Is it for if you roll an attack or you roll, it's for both, right? You can do it any time as long as you're adjacent to an Acolyte, I believe, right? It doesn't matter how many times.
Any hero that follows Revna. So that's
yep.
Right now,
so you got to have these acolytes scattered everywhere, basically, with your heroes, basically.
You got witchcraft, the telekinesis, because when I saw this card, my first thought definitely was Rakshot, because I was like, Soul Fury is going to be insane, because from what I understand, you can kill your own unit, and
Mm-hmm.
then you get those result of having the fights.
Oh,
You get to do a
this is
full
definitely going to be a must-have common squad, I think, for Revna. A lot of
for
Revna
any
stuff.
Revna builds will work
Yeah.
really well with it for sure. And we got, let's see. Oh, those are enemy fields. Okay.
Let me read the second special ability too. Risen by Revna at the start of each round, before placing order markers, you may place one of your destroyed Revenant acolytes onto an empty space adjacent to a hero you control who follows Revna. And I need to read that twice. At the start of each round, before placing order markers, you may place one of your destroyed Revenant acolytes onto an empty space adjacent to a hero you control who follows Revna. You can bring them back.
And not only bring them back, but bring them back next to.
Yeah,
So
and
like,
that's
build a
it's
good
almost
army,
like
just be
it's almost like a
boop,
mini
army,
Thanos
boop.
because it doesn't take a 20-sided die roll. I don't know if Thanos takes it. I don't remember Thanos' ability, but it doesn't take a 20-sided. It doesn't take any dice roll. It just happens. That is cool. You know, you literally have to wipe these guys out enough to where they can't come back. But then you have to wipe out the heroes as well. Otherwise, they'll come back. You know, if the rounds keep on going, you're going to have at least one there coming back, and you have to wipe that out, and then it just keeps on coming. It's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts,
Yeah,
Jeremy. So you need a bunch of these guys. And at 40 points, not bad point value.
It's gonna be a very anybody who's interested in definitely looking into like building up a Revna. This is gonna be cool. I think
Mm-hmm.
starting out, like when you get. I want to say, I mean, I'm already looking to try to incorporate these three or four, but that would be. I gotta work at least 12 or 16 of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's my plan. Because I'm not, like, the general idea is you got 3 of them.
Yep.
And I think
4 or 5 squads, yeah.
Really good number. About 4 squads would be really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's 16 rezzers.
Yep.
And then if you get, because let's see where it's at. Remember, it does because it says adjacent to a hero you control follows Revna, right? It doesn't say unique hero.
Right.
Hero. Grave Grip.
Yep. We'll get into those in a minute.
Right. So you can have a Grave Grim res those Revenant acolytes, or rat shot.
You have a miniature heavy army. Basically, it's going to be
crossover some of those Isonek. You can have them res next to Isonek because those are heroes that follow Revenant.
I was thinking that too.
There's a handful of opportunities to use them or use that res power as an interesting way to keep your forces rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And then again with the rack shot, it's like that. Let me just build up my Soul Fury. I need a few soul tokens.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So definitely multi-use squad. You definitely want to get a bunch. At least 4 or 5 squads for your army builds, which is fine. This is one thing I like about like the common squads from both boxes. They are useful, and they're useful to get a bunch of them. So that's great. And while
it's the spirit of the commons.
Yeah. Like, and they're good, like independent of who they're boxed with, and they also work in combination too. For these, I mean, for the crabs and the Vord that's with the crabs, not so much. But with these, they really can work separate or together very well with different army combinations. So that makes them very, very nice. But yeah, I don't know how much more I want to say because I know eventually we'll probably do a Squads and Heroes segment whenever with Revenant Acolytes in the future, and then we can get more into how synergize, and there'll probably be a lot more synergies in the future whenever we get to them as well. But as like an overview, the more you read into them, the more excited you get with these guys. They're definitely going to cause headaches in the future when it comes to Squadscape.
Clearly the answer.
They what?
Join Revna. The answer is to join Revna.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Well, obviously.
That's how you avoid it.
Obviously, that's. I mean.
Also, tails.
Yeah.
They can res next to the score dyer.
This is another thing too. So I definitely gotta get.
You can have your
I'm so
bugs
broke.
get.
I'm so broke. But yeah, they can serve the bugs. Lots of queens to serve.
Heroes that follow Revenant.
There you go. So yeah, I guess I'll just end it for that. So that's taking a look at Revenant Acolytes. Huge potential. Can't wait to see them giving headaches to Heroscape players out there. All hail Revenant, basically.
Can you imagine?
For Revenant Acolytes.
You can have Revenant Acolytes res next to the.
And
that's. I don't know how that would work, but you could have a giant bug ball and then a bunch of undead acolytes appear next to the giant bug ball.
That works.
I'm just like I'm noodling. Like that can that even? Because I want. Just because that's so wild.
Instead of dream building, we're just like army like mind building
is that
a little bit. And let me catch up a little bit of these chats. And Jeremy, just so you know, your audio is just slightly lower. It is a tad low, just so you know.
My mic is moving. It does it starts to roll. I don't know if the
I get it.
Was it? It tilts.
Yeah. No,
is that
I
better?
Understand. Yeah. It's a bit better.
Yeah.
All right.
It was moving.
Yeah, let me catch up with these chats a second. Okay, Justin saying rebellions are built on hope. Yes, from the Revenant Acolyte lore. And then Justin saying first the dead speak, then they crawl. And Bill Flint is saying, let's see, I don't know if there might be something missing. Not sure. Hear you read ToV. I'm not sure what that means, but make me think of the end clips of D&D Honor Among Thieves where the dead warrior is waiting for his final question. That's a, that movie, like I watched Honor Among Thieves, and that movie really surprised me. I had low expectations, and
I need to watch it. I haven't had a chance.
It's a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, thank you, Bill, for that comment. I do my best with reading, and I got into it at the end of it because I'm like, okay, I know how this should be read. So you're just going to try Mizrax, Kilcarax, 4 Acolytes, and 2 Grim Graves. Yeah, it might be probably good army combination there. Justin saying also might be fun to splash a couple of squads of Acolytes with either Isonek or Skordire, like we were discussing. Yep.
Yeah.
Bill Flynn saying, any plans on expanding on the map with new islands and such? Well, quite possibly. I don't know. We'll have to see. I have no idea.
Please look forward to it.
Yeah. We need a new map. That's all I will say about that is we do don't know what the plans are. We need a new map. Absolutely need a new map.
This is just theory crafting.
Yeah.
I just want you all to take into consideration, right?
Map within maps.
And Carmine talked to us all the time about expanding the world of Valhalla.
Yep.
That vision hasn't changed.
Yep.
So just
can't wait for it. Let's just say that. I'm hopefully, like I said, rebellions are built on hope. Maps are built on hope.
I'm just saying, like, we're sitting here, we're reviewing this now.
Yeah.
I tell you, come back here in 1 year time. Like literally March 5th, 2026.
Fun time.
Right? And then we get to talk about some stuff, and then we'll be like, now
it's gonna take 9 hours to talk through it, guys, when we get to that next year.
Just saying, y'all I know you're excited. I'm excited. Trust me, I'm excited. Just give it time. Give it time. This is a living, breathing, continuously growing concept.
Yeah. And Bill Flint's saying, ask a question, waiting for the answer down the road. Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I encourage it. Honestly, like, write this stuff down and see if you get these answers later on, because I feel like it'll be easier to answer later than down the road. So
all right. And then for the last of this this deep dive, Grave Grim. I really like this unit. I think this is besides the crabs, I think this is my second favorite unit out of the bunch. Although it's just so hard to measure, but I think personally, I think it's my second favorite unit out of the bunch.
very cool vibe.
Just the doggy tag. It's got a doggy tag.
Yeah,
It's so cute.
a revenant dog. Yeah, revenant dog.
I can like get like an unpainted one and just etch a ToV on that dog tag too if I really want to.
Yeah.
But let's see here, boiling tension. Okay, and let's read through this. I just love the little Sherlock Holmes reference there. Hellhound, the Hound of the Baskervilles, a moth dog, Doog. Is that Doog or dog? I don't know.
Doog, yeah.
Gwali, a Yethhound, a Black Shuck, Grave Grim. Anyone fond of folklore has encountered these names and what they have inspired throughout centuries of European legends. Despite their myriad depictions and motivations, ranging from malice to benevolent protection, they all point to the same motif: a black dog with glowing eyes haunting the sites of the dead. Described as omens of death, judgment, and the underworld, these creatures toll bells for the deceased and arrive with portents of foul weather. Black dogs exist as a story shared across Earth's cultures, yet they were always just that: a fearful tale meant to keep unruly children and criminals in line. At least they were just stories, until Valhalla revealed what had always been the truth on Earth. And this is the cool thing. This comes from Earth. That's the coolest thing. The black dog is one of several. Now, that leaves a question. Through the Wellsprings, humans on Valhalla would learn that these stories were poor attempts to describe spiritual creatures properly known as omens. Invisible to the mortal eye, they have long fulfilled their guardian duties, striking dread into those who desecrate sacred burial sites. But now Revna has given them a new purpose. She needed guardians to protect her flock of dead, and the omens have thousands of years of practice. Now recruited to her cause, the Grimms shepherd the host of Revna to their promised freedom. Most humans flee at the sight of grave Grimms, running alongside the undead that Revna sends forward. Earth heroes of the former alliance often blanch, recalling fearful childhood stories, and lose their resolve at the moment it matters most. These beings of Earth folklore have poised to tell a new story as Revna's vanguard, securing victory and safety for her people. And humankind will not be the only ones to fear the hounds of death. Now, okay, two things first off. If people are demanding historical figures, this is technically a historical folklore figure. It is. It's right there in the lore. And then the second thing. There's more than one kind of these things. This is just the first one. I got the hint, Jeremy. I got the hint, Strong. This is the first one we're going to see. I got it.
Just nice.
Guys, just there it is. Headline. This is
the most important
first
thing
one.
is remember, the word omen, right? That is a
plural.
Yeah,
it's
as
plural.
a renegade original species.
Revna has more guys.
So, bear in mind,
that is an
opportunity for
that's just
door.
Freaking cool. Yep. Okay, so this is the first one out of many. So this isn't, and it's like an omen right on the top there on the card. Or we get the card in a second, but so this is a new type of how would I put it? Just flock of the dead.
The new species.
New species, omens, and this isn't the only one, guys. Take that to the bank and just look forward to more of this type of fun stuff in the future. I can't wait to see, because who knows if the next omens are going to be hound-like, if there's going to be like a variety of hounds, or if it's going to be something different. I can't wait to see. This is, and it might not even be a common hero. It might be like a common squad. It might be a big hero. Who knows? I'm just speculating here. I know nothing. But that is very, very. That's just a wide open invitation to be like, guys, there's more of these types of things coming, and this one is already an interesting creature. But anything else you can tell? I mean, obviously, this is something that refers back to world folklore, which I really like.
Yeah.
Again,
I
historical
did a
ties.
lot of research to write. Yeah.
Okay.
So I wrote the bio for this character,
Sure.
or this army unit, and when it was like, yeah, the black dog is. There's so many black dogs out there. Like
Right.
the story.
Lots of folklore.
That was one thing that
throughout
was
the world.
super. Yeah, it was one
Yep.
thing that was really fascinating while I was researching for this, for writing this concept, was just how many versions of that story exist in our shared legends. Like, and like it, just Britain alone, right? Just the island, just like England, Scotland, Ireland. I think between the three of them, there was like at least 12 different versions of this legend. I mean, it was just
Sure.
it was impressive how many versions there were.
A-
And so I was like,
And you go to other
we-
cultures, there might be different legends within other
yeah,
cultures that you don't know either.
within towns, like
Yep.
between different towns, they had different spellings, different.
Yep.
And so I was like, no, we got to mention different names. So
Hmm.
that list you see up on top, it opens with that heading specifically to key point that this is not just a one thing. This
Yep.
is a multi thing. This is a thing that humans have been believing about and talking
Very
about,
nice
telling stories
introduction.
about for years. Yeah. So I wanted the reference to really like significant stories that more people might know about, and then some I threw in some special references to lesser known references to Black Dog stories, because names that I learned from video games. So for
Sure.
example, now everyone, like Tails immediately picked up on the Sherlock reference. I did
Yep.
that on purpose. I was like, we got to do the Sherlock.
I think it's
Dog
one of the
reference
most common. Most people would know that, even if they've never read it.
right. And that's the thing. It's like because that story. Like I even looked at like Sir Arthur says in his own notes that he was inspired by stories of the Black Dog, and that's what caused him to write The Hound of the Baskervilles. So I was like, I got to mention that. I got to mention
Sure.
The Hound of the Baskervilles.
Nice nod.
Yeah, right. Because I was like,
Another
that's right.
amazing storyteller who didn't even want to tell these types of stories, and he ended up making a
And he ended
whole.
up telling.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, masterful.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Hmm.
So the moth Duke, right? That's a I think it's Manx, the Manx version of this legend.
Okay.
Which is an island. Like they got the Isle of Man, and there's like different small little islands in the English area. The English, I want to say it's not the English Sea. I know that's not what it's called, but that oceanic area where the English Channel is and all that stuff. There's like smaller populations back in the day that would have these stories about black dogs, and so I dug into the names that they used for that. Turns out they're also named like that in Fire Emblem. If you're a Fire Emblem fan at all, they have enemies called the Moth Duke, and I was like, that's where it comes from. It's a Black Dog reference. I'm like, okay, so I got to mention that, And so yeah, I was just listing, like anytime I was going through my memories, I was like, how many times have I really encountered this archetype in storytelling? And so I listed essentially the various versions. Now here's the cool part: there are 7 names specifically because Revna is acting as the 7th general. So it's a little nice meta reference there.
Well, actually, there's 8 references, because including Hellhound, it's 8, I think. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
I was like,
6. Oh no, there's 7. There's 7. Right, you got.
Okay, I was like,
miscounted.
did I miscount?
No, I miscounted.
I was,
1,
my
2,
reference got missed.
3,
That would be
4,
funny.
5, 6.
No.
Oh yeah. Okay, no, you're right.
Yeah,
Forgive me, my
it's
tired
7
brain.
names. Yeah, 7 names because she's the currently active 7th general.
Nice.
Since a certain person was, it's another reference to that,
Sheik.
but yeah. So
that particular individual will not be rising from the dead. He will probably stay dead.
Revna would prefer that particular individual not rise. Very many reasons. Would very much prefer.
Has nothing to do with wizards at all. Nothing at all.
No. Darn wizard.
Yeah.
But But yeah, that is so. And just to kind of review, I wrote Grave Grim, Molten Crustaceans, the um, the Revenant Acolytes, and then the Tenica Tricksters. Those are my direct work, and then all the others. Uh, Dandelions was the one who wrote those. And
Mhm.
when what we do, we write those, we submit them to the lore council, review them together as a team. All of us go over it. We write, we added those edits, send it to the editor, review those edits, then we send it to Hasbro. They review those edits, then it becomes a thing.
Ba-bum.
So again, if you ever do notice delays, it's in progress. It's always,
Work.
the
Work
stuff.
in
Yeah,
progress.
it's work. It's work in progress, which is like the process has been very, very I guess eye opening. I'm starting to learn why games take so long to make.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, oh, well, that explains why there's a
And you
3 month.
work at
Yeah,
it, get approval for everything, edit everything. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
It just at a certain rate, like it has helped with my own patience level, if that makes sense. Because it's like,
Mhm.
I'm not trying to tell everyone, hey, give us a second, give us time to get this stuff out. Where I'm not just saying that because I want to say it. I'm saying that because it's like, oh, we have, we have to wait for this to come.
Mhm.
We have to cycles development schedule. And it's like that kind of stuff is stuff I didn't think about before, but now that I'm working with it, I can think about. And now I'm like, oh, well, now that makes sense. So I'm bringing that experience and I'll tell everyone here, be like, yeah, no, we got some really cool stuff on the way. Give us a little bit.
Right.
Time is precious. It's like that when you realize how much is needed, you're like, oh man, like so. But yeah, this is just this is your window into Boiling Tension's lore bios. Now, mind you, there's a scenario that came out, like Tails mentioned,
Mhm.
that's also part of the Boiling Tension arc, and then there are still what, however many more scenarios left up until the next Renegade, which will then, that's how it's going to be working. Like every month, we'll drop a new scenario that's associated with that story arc and telling the story that's being shared with the characters launching, with the bios launching. Everything's all in a big old bubble. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the snapshot you've gotten so.
It's a fun deep dive look, and might need you like for like other wave releases. We might do this again sometime. But let's
Oh, it's
but before we close, we do need to read through the card of Grave Grim. I really like this card because again, this is another unit that can be probably used in many different army builds. Well, at the very least, Crypt Guardians is my target for this guy, or guys basically, because it is a common hero. So Revna, Grave Grim, Revna being the Valkyrie general. Omen is again. There's gonna be more of these guys under Omen, so that's cool. Or at least that's the hint. Common hero, guard, watchful, large 6. So fairly big dog. Uh, two life. That's important. 2 life. Move a 6, range of 1, attack of 4, defense of 4, 40 points. Special ability, Guide of the Dead. After revealing an order marker on and before taking a turn with a Grave Grim, you may move up to 6 small, medium, or large undead okay, let me reread that. You may move up to 6 small, medium, or large undead or Isonek figures you control up to 3 spaces each. Again, the combination and synergies and movement that you can just for movement, 6 spaces. Wow. And then Howling Presence. When an opponent rolls a 20-sided die for a special power on one of their army cards, if one or more of that army card's figures are within 3 spaces of a figure you control with the Howling Presence special power, they must subtract 3 from the roll. So again, this is another deterrent for like Mind Shackle or just 20-sided die roll deterrent, which is a nice thing. Area of effect, nice thing to have that can come up your enemy. Or your opponent, basically. Not enemy. Oh, your opponent can be your enemy sometimes, but your opponent. So, very nice special abilities, especially like Guide the Dead. This gives a little bit of a boost to zombies. Might help boost zombie builds, and I like how, because I don't remember.
I wanna see them. I wanna see
Well,
zombies.
it also, I think it also helps for C3V, because I believe Zombie Hulk is a large, so it can be included in this movement.
Mhm.
You can move a Zombie Hulk, and then there's zombies. That's not a bad synergy, to where you can move your army up, together with six move. And yeah, just the possibilities are endless for this. So I'm not gonna like dive into it so much, because it'd probably take forever. Jeremy, and any thoughts for that though when it comes to armies?
Oh, I mean, because you already mentioned zombies.
Yeah.
We have, I mean, yeah, right, acolytes. You can do a whole acolyte build.
Yep. There you
We got the Wraith Riders, right? And
go. And
there's just
yeah,
options.
go ahead.
There are options now, right? Again, more options. Like, because the game is always building on that. And it's like, I don't know. It's like, I'm excited to see. What was I thinking? Because I have Rakshot. We got the Revenant Acolytes. I want to do Rakshot Revenant Acolyte build. And then with the Grave Grims, I get a chance to move my acolytes in places specifically where I want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about mini Soul Fury location sites. I guess you're like, here I'm gonna move 3 here, move 3 here. All right, next turn, Rakshot to one of those spots, and then Rakshot does the thing that consumes the soul, and then it's just there's potentials. It allows you to space out the undead / Isonek that you need for some of these movement combos. You get to space them out or move them ahead of schedule instead of having to do the bonding with heroes. You get to move them out with Wolf. I say Wolf, it's an Omen. You get to move them out with this Omen, and then once they're all spread out using this, put your heroes where they be, and then use their powers and activate it. It's gonna be interesting. I honestly at a certain point I'm gonna start proxying this just to see if my because I'm just theory. What I'm saying right now is just
theory
like
crafting.
I'm blabbing from my brain.
Right.
Yeah, theory crafting.
There's a lot of possibilities though, which is so fun.
Yeah, that's the thing. What this talk is all possible. It's like maybe I can do this. Well, we gotta try it out. Maybe I can do this. Well, I gotta try it out. So now and then by talking, it's like, oh, there's options. So I'm excited to see how it plays. That is my primary. I'm like, man.
Yeah,
let's see how the zombies move, like with that free 6 space and move, and then the harrying presence. Like if there's any special powers you just had any issues, like, and you know how to place them right. Oh well, that special power is not a problem. Like you get to take more of that ability away, which is a really cool aesthetic. I saw that power and I had to write it into the bio. I was like, how can I write this in the bio? And I was like, well, I mean, if a human who naturally would tell stories about hellhounds and things like that, and like mentally remembered these stories, goes to Valhalla and then sees this thing in person for the first time, I'm imagining it's like, oh, like
lose
they just get
confidence
super scared and can't. Yeah, their confidence just falls apart. So that's what I wrote in the bio is that they remember these stories and they're like, oh, this is not good, and then that's what causes them to lose their abilities or get struggle with their powers.
Sure.
So, and then hence Earth heroes aren't the only ones who will fear the hounds.
Yeah, and the cool thing too, it's from Earth. Earth. Boom. There you go. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I love it. Like I said, there's a reason why it's like my first or second favorite unit out of the whole out of this whole announced wave. I just it's probably going to be a major staple in my upcoming armies in the years to come for sure. Yeah, love it. But yeah, so that's taking a look at Grave Grim, and overall taking a look at all these units for Boiling Tension, just announced by Renegade, coming out soon online to a mailbox or a store near you. All right, so let me really take this down. I'll go like this.
We finished We did the part
We
2.
did it. We did it. We did it. We did it.
Yo.
All within almost 2.5 hours. So we can, we get
Yeah.
extra 10 minutes of sleep tonight. So that's good.
Let's go. Extra sleep.
And and I do want to thank Jeremy for coming on with me, because I know the man works hard. He's working hard trying to keep up with his life, and so I just do appreciate Jeremy's time for talking with me through this. And I hope we can do it again in the future. It's only every 3 months. It's 3 times a year, so we sleep 3 times a year now. But yeah, it's really cool to see where this is going. And again, I think I'll end as I begun. This is a celebration. This is an accumulation of dream building that I've done a little bit, and that Jeremy's done a lot the past 10 years. So again, I'm so happy that Jeremy has gotten to a position to where he's able to do these things, and I think it's a great start. I can't wait to see what else comes out in the future, and just expanding that story, that universe.
It is I'm grateful. I mean, if anything, and I hope at any point in time, I know it's I don't know. I think about it a lot. They could have picked anyone. I mean, I'm not the only person that enjoys this game, and I'm not the only person who enjoys the bios and all that kind of stuff. I acknowledge this is a shared passion, and so many people, probably much better writers than I could be, right? But it's they reached out to me. Primarily, from what I heard, it was because they were asking around. They're like, "Hey, is there anyone knows that's really good at story?" And apparently, my name came up a lot. And I hope the people who vouched for me when that was going on and those negotiations were happening went out to find me and ask me. The people who vouched for me, I hope that I have been able to that vouch. Honestly, I really hope that you putting my name out there in a good way to help me get to where I am now. I hope you got to see, because I commit. I made sure, I studied these concepts. I checked out books. I was, I think and I'm not flexing, right? I don't really have a vehicle. I walked to the library. I physically walked myself to the library so I could read about this stuff, so I could study and understand what I'm writing about, so I could write these bios. And it's just little things like that I did because knowing somebody said to Renegade, "Hey, you get someone to write this story, ask." Someone said that, and they took their word for it, and now I'm here, and I'm like, thank you, whoever you were out there, thank you. Oh my god, you really. I wanted to make sure that I made sure you're worth it, because I did not that. That was amazing to hear. That they actually. So, um, with that being said, this isn't the only. This is the first.
Just getting started, baby. Just getting started.
Just getting. So I am hoping and again wishing for that vote of confidence, knowing that just we got so many things planned along the way. It's going to continuous storytelling, ongoing storytelling. It's going to be
it's going to be a blast in the coming months. So
yep.
Yeah, and anything else, Jeremy, before we close?
Thank you for the opportunity again, and to be able to blab about Heroscape lore. That's my core right there. Be able to share those points, and if you those questions again, if you have questions about the story and I'm not able to answer it, hold on to them, because I promise you those are just it's curiosity is never. I want everyone to ask questions, people to be curious, to pursue the mysteries. Remember, what is one of those main things in the Valhalla book? It says, "Dark mysteries of Valhalla." How many mysteries of Valhalla remain? What hasn't been? It's meant to be a thing. Yeah, feel free to ask as much questions. I don't mind them. Unlike the previous people who I used to bug when I was a kid, I don't mind the lore questions. But that's all. Honestly, everything for me. I haven't really been posting. Been working a little bit more off on everything else. But just enjoy Boiling Tension,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. I drop anything.
I'm gonna say curiosity will not kill the Revenant Acolyte because it's already dead.
Keep going?
It's already dead.
Yeah.
So can be curious as they want. But yeah, with that, and check out Jeremy's got things and stuff. You link description below. Check out stuff, and also, I mean, from this Boiling Tension reveal, I also did my own a short at the beginning of that, and it's I mean, from different channels. I've gotten different shout outs from different content creators, including Renegade, and those have got like thousands of views, so that's great. Had a little uptick in viewership and stuff, and people coming on the stream, so that's a cool thing. Hope to do more in the future, and I guess I would say with that, let Renegade know, let Tales of How do more of the animated stuff, because I enjoy doing that. So, and we'll see what happens in the future with that. And if you want to see the short, there's also a link in the description below for that. And for those of you listening on Spotify, check some of the stuff out visually. Go to YouTube. There's links in the below, there's links in the description if you're listening to this on Spotify as well. And shout out to all the Spotify listeners. Thank you guys so much for listening in as well, and maintaining that podcast version. Again, this will be a TV podcast special. I'll probably call it like Boiling Tension Deep Dive or something with Jeremy or something to that aspect. You all can have fun listening to this on the stream, live recording as well via YouTube and Twitch. So but yeah, with that, we gotta go to bed because it's another busy day, following day. And thank you everybody for your comments in the chat. Thank you everybody for chatting. I'm not going to go through all the names because there was a few comments tonight, but I thank you guys, and we'll see you all this Sunday when we start going through the scenario. I'll start reading through that scenario and give my evaluation of what's written, and see how things are going with the Heroscape storyline there. But with that, I thank everybody for watching. Have a good Wednesday. We'll see you Sunday. You have a purpose in your life. Find it, pursue it, live it, and we'll see all of you next time. Later now. Bye-bye.